Chapter 453. Genius 1 second. Remember love divided by go divided by little? Say net, providing you with wonderful novels to read. This time, Night Sorrow used 5 spatial splits in a row before his innate bloodline energy was exhausted. Love gone little say W. Chew next. Night Sorrow took care of the white bear and 2 antelopes before returning to the campsite and handing them over to the others. After returning to the tent, Night Sorrow took a sip of the tea Yang Lei had brewed and sensed the situation of his innate bloodline energy points. Just like before, the 4 innate bloodline energy points were circulating, strengthening the energy points while charging towards the 5th innate bloodline energy point. I'm very happy. Tell us what you're happy about. Sikong Chiyu sat beside Night Sorrow and asked. Yes, the cultivation of my innate bloodline has improved a little. Night Sorrow explained his situation. Yang Lei and Sikong Chiyu were both happy for Night Sorrow. In the world of cultivators, there were very few people with innate bloodlines. A bloodline with high lethality like Night Sorrow's was especially rare. It was even rarer that Night Sorrow could cultivate it. After drinking with the Blood Strike Guard, Ho Jian, and the others, Night Sorrow continued to cultivate. Night Sorrow's attitude towards cultivation had influenced the Blood Strike Guard, Ho Jian, and the others. The group was also very active in their cultivation. Currently, the confrontation between the humans and the dark creatures in Broken Cloud Mountain was at a stalemate. The human cultivators couldn't do anything to the dark creatures because they couldn't do anything to the biased spatial channel. Similarly, the dark creatures couldn't cross the blockade set up by the eastern Xian region. Lei Hua and the others had also sent small teams out on missions. However, they only hunted some scattered dark creatures and didn't come into direct contact with them. This was because the dark spiritual corpses were hidden among the dark creatures. The venerables went to control the number of dark creatures, so the dark spiritual corpses couldn't do anything. However, it was very dangerous for cultivators below the venerables to fight the dark creatures. The upper echelons of the eastern Xian region didn't want to suffer such a loss. Yi Shang and the others were also happy to be free. The group would cultivate their combat skills during the day and cultivate their foundations at night. They didn't lack resources in the first place, and with the resources that Yi Shang had given them, it wasn't a problem. Night Sorrow was also happy to see such a scene. His brothers were strong, so they had a strong ability to protect themselves. If not for the dire situation, Yi Shang would have liked to return to the Medicine Valley's Pill Tripod Cliff to cultivate. While he was cultivating Night Sorrow, he was also predicting the war's outcome. The death of the death domain, the death of death, and the death of death, the death, and the death of the death. The other thing was that the rulers of the death domain rushed out and fought head-on, tearing apart the defensive line and breaking through. However, Night Sorrow felt that the death domain had no chance of winning, unless the guy inside was very powerful. However, this possibility was very small. Since he couldn't grasp the direction of the war, Night Sorrow calmly cultivated. It wasn't suitable for him to leave either. In the 2nd month after arriving at Broken Cloud Mountain, Sikong Chiyu's attributes changed. He directly upgraded from the ordinary water attribute to the sky blue water attribute. 0CR Original J version. First, the sky blue water attribute was still the water attribute, and it was the ultimate water attribute. This ultimate attribute couldn't suppress the ordinary attributes, but it also couldn't be suppressed by ordinary high-level attributes, unless one also grasped the ultimate attribute of the high-level attributes. When it came to sparring, the Blood Strike Guards and the Tianji Tower team were no match for Sikong Chiyu. Ho Jian, Yang Lei and the others were no match for him because the intensity of their true chi attacks was different. The sky blue water attribute allowed Sikong Chiyu's true chi to be extremely condensed. In addition, Sikong Chiyu also told Yang Lei and Night Sorrow that after attaining the sky blue water attribute, the true chi energy in his body began to change his physique. After the change was complete, he would have the sky blue body. His body's strength and willpower would increase and he would have a greater affinity with the water attribute. This made Night Sorrow and Yang Lei happy for him. The origin stone of the water attribute was a great help to Sikong Chiyu in order to cultivate the sky blue water attribute. In addition, Sikong Chiyu had the potential to cultivate the sky blue water attribute and Wu Lingfei's guidance. Only then did he succeed in taking this step. After Sikong Chiyu cultivated the sky blue water attribute, she and Yang Lei both advanced to the 4th level of the Void Inquiry stage. They had eaten the Void Extreme pills which raised their cultivation basis to the peak of the 3rd level of the Void Inquiry stage for quite some time. Their cultivation basis had stabilized. Naturally, breaking through was a matter of course. At this moment, Night Sorrow had also reached the peak of the 2nd level of the Void Inquiry stage. However, he was not in a hurry to advance. While cultivating his soul power and the energy of the myriad Tao text, he was also consolidating his true Qi cultivation base. Night Sorrow also let Tianyu and the Silver Fox out to play every day. After all the cultivators in the Eastern Profound region knew that they were Night Sorrow's demonic beasts. If anyone was foolish enough to touch these two demonic beasts, Night Sorrow would not let them off, let alone the consequences. Under Night Sorrow's constant feeding of the life spirit liquid, Tianyu had already reached the peak of the spirit-severing realm while the Silver Fox had reached the peak of the core formation realm. Both of them were on the verge of advancing. According to the situation of their advancement in the past, Night Sorrow knew that they did not know how long it would take for them to consolidate their strength. Therefore he was not in a hurry. When the time comes, they would naturally advance. The situation had stabilized. However, there were still people coming to the Eastern Profound region one after another. In the Medicine Valley, all of Night Sorrow's senior martial brothers except for Nan Nan and Aoi had arrived at Broken Cloud Mountain. Nan Nan had to stay in Golden Flame City. As for Aoi, she was not willing to participate in the hunting operation unless she had no other choice. Everyone in the Medicine Valley knew that. Therefore no one would force her to do so. Because of her personality, she did not compete with the world. Instead, she had gained more respect. Night Sorrow would drink with his senior martial brothers every day when he had nothing to do. It had been a long time since he had last chatted with them. Time slipped away bit by bit. Some people felt a little annoyed staying in the same place but not Night Sorrow. When he felt that he had more or less settled down, Night Sorrow greeted Yang Lei and Sikong Chuyu and went into seclusion to break through to the third level of the Void Inquiry stage. After spending a night, Night Sorrow condensed his true Qi halo. Next, he stabilized his cultivation base. While stabilizing his cultivation base, Night Sorrow took out the blood essences of ice spirits and soul crystals to assist him in his cultivation. While stabilizing his true Qi, he continued to cultivate the myriad Tao scripture and soul power. This cultivation process lasted for a few days. When the blood essences of ice spirits and soul crystals were all used up, Night Sorrow stopped cultivating. After stretching his body, Night Sorrow walked out of the tent. Sikong Chuyu and Yang Lei were chatting outside the tent while making tea. "You're out." Yang Lei and Night Sorrow greeted each other. "Thank you for guarding the place for me." Night Sorrow sat down on the wooden stool beside Yang Lei. "You don't have to be so courteous with us. Drink some water." Sikong Chuyu poured a cup of water for Night Sorrow and said. Looking at the blood-robed guards, Ho Jian and the others cultivating their combat techniques, Night Sorrow felt very gratified because his brothers were all very motivated. "Sure-san, your cultivation base is going to catch up to us soon. Ninth senior sister has been cultivating for a much longer time than you." Yang Lei turned her head to look at Night Sorrow and said, "Maybe it's because of my good fortune that I have ample resources," Night Sorrow said with a smile. Chapter 454. Genius remembers love in 1 second divided by little? We provide you with wonderful novels to read. "I don't think I have any talent," Night Sorrow said after looking at himself. "Do you think you can see anything just by looking at it?" "Talent and aptitude are all unearthed," Sikong Chuyu said with a smile. "If it's about talent and bloodline, I can be sure of that. But it's hard to make a conclusion about talent," Night Sorrow said. "Everyone's talent for cultivation is different. The speed at which they absorb energy, the width and narrowness of their veins, their compatibility with spiritual energy, and so on. If you don't have talent, it's not reasonable to use hard work and abundant resources to explain your rapid improvement in cultivation," Yang Lei said. This book is first published for free. No subscription required. Group number 332448350. Only cool craftsman readers. Yes. Besides, you were born in the Night Moon Dynasty. That's a family of cultivators. Moreover, it's an outstanding family of cultivators. How can your talent be bad? Sikong Chuyu said with a smile. Maybe. But I think that cultivators still need perseverance. This is more important than anything else, Night Sorrow said with a smile. You're right. To stabilize your cultivation, you should eat the void pill and improve your cultivation, Yang Lei said. Night Sorrow nodded. Then he strolled around the campsite and played with Tianyu and Silver Fox. Love Gone Little Say Kun. Night Sorrow's eyes, Tianyu and Silver Fox were not monsters. They were partners who could live and die together. Tianyu aside, Silver Fox had been fighting beside Night Sorrow in the previous battle. It had even been stabbed in the back when Night Sorrow blocked the attack of the dark zombie. It didn't know that Night Sorrow could block it. It only felt that Night Sorrow was dangerous, so it blocked the attack without hesitation. After playing with Tianyu and Silver Fox for a while and chatting with Qin Zhen, Night Sorrow returned to his tent. Then he took out the Ice Spirit Blood Essence and Soul Crystals and began cultivating. Night Sorrow didn't have much Ice Spirit Blood Essence left. He only had 3 pieces left, including the ones he had. Night Sorrow felt that the Ice Spirit Blood Essence might not be enough to support his cultivation to the Dao Querying Realm, but it wouldn't be too far off. He was now in the middle stage of the 8th level of the Consolidation Realm. At most, he would need half a level of resources. Night Sorrow was very satisfied with the cultivation progress of the Myriad Tao Treasured Book. The main reason was that the Ice Spirit Blood Essence had a good effect. It contained sufficient blood qi and belonged to the same source of energy. Therefore, whether it was absorbing or refining, the speed was very fast. Otherwise, he would be left far behind by his true qi cultivation. After all, Night Sorrow ate 2 elixirs at every major stage of his true qi cultivation. However, the Myriad Tao Treasured Book didn't have such elixirs. If it weren't for the Ice Spirit Blood Essence's effect, the gap between his true qi and the Myriad Tao Treasured Book would be widened. Night Sorrow cultivated, and so did the 2 girls. The Bloodstrike Guard Ho Jian and the others. Ho Jian, Ho Qingjie, Nanliue, Lei Bao, Lei Zheng, and the other sect seniors and juniors were all there. However, they weren't willing to go to the sect. They were willing to stay with Night Sorrow and the brothers of the Bloodstrike Guard. After another cultivation session, Night Sorrow went to the Medicine Valley area. As the Great Elder was here, Night Sorrow had to pay his respects. After paying his respects to the Great Elder, Night Sorrow asked about the Void Fiendish Spaces passageway. You can't enter anymore. For some reason, the energy coming from the passageway conflicted with the energy of our world. The passageway has collapsed, the Great Elder said. Upon hearing this news, Night Sorrow felt a little more at ease. With the Void Fate Jewel, Night Sorrow treated the Void Fiendish Space like his own backyard. When others could enter, he felt a little conflicted. Now that he heard that others couldn't enter, he felt a little more at ease. After returning to his own camp, Night Sorrow asked Ho Jian and Lei Bao to go back to their respective sects to confirm the news. The news that Ho Jian and Lei Bao brought back proved that the Void Fiendish Space was sealed. All the known passageways had collapsed and they had entered. Night Sorrow wasn't worried about whether he could enter or not. As long as he could completely refine the Void Fate Jewel, he could enter the Void Fiendish Space whenever he wanted. Spatial barriers wouldn't be a problem. After that, Night Sorrow told Yang Lei and Sikong Chiyu about the Void Fiendish Space. That's great. As long as you can control the Void Fate Jewel, the Void Fiendish Space will be your backyard. You'll be invincible in there. When the time comes, we'll set up our home there, Yang Lei said excitedly. I don't know how long it'll take. I've been using my soul power to nourish it. I believe that one day I'll succeed, Night Sorrow said with a nod. Night Sorrow, your biggest strength is your good attitude. You can face anything with a calm heart. You must always maintain this attitude, Sikong Chiyu said. Let's not talk about me. How are you 2 doing? Do you have enough resources? Alright. Here are 2 storage rings. Night Sorrow took out Feng Chen and Lushan Night storage rings and gave one each to Yang Lei and Sikong Chiyu. Night Sorrow had already transferred all his resources into the Dark Spirit Saint storage ring. You have a storage ring on your hand? Where did you get so many? Yang Lei asked curiously. Night Sorrow didn't mention that he had met the Dark Spirit Saint and Life Saintess in the Death Space. Take a look. I think the storage space in these 2 storage rings is bigger than normal. They're better than the ones you're using now, Night Sorrow said. Night Sorrow had already removed the ownership of the storage rings. Yang Lei and Sikong Chiyu quickly completed the process. It's really big. It's 3 times bigger than mine, Yang Lei said. Mine too. Sikong Chiyu nodded. That's good. A bigger space means more resources can be stored. It's more convenient, Night Sorrow said with a smile. Then the storage ring on your hand must be of a higher grade? Sikong Chiyu looked at Night Sorrow's ring and asked. I got it by accident. The space is indeed bigger. Yishan was most satisfied with the space in these 2 storage rings. How big is bigger? Sikong Chiyu asked curiously. Tell the truth. Night Sorrow asked as he touched the storage ring. Translator. Nioibo Studio Editor. Nioibo Studio, are you saying that you're going to lie to us? Yang Lei reached out to grab Night Sorrow's ear. Yang Lei's hand grabbed Night Sorrow's ear. However, Night Sorrow's ear emitted energy and bounced Yang Lei's hand away. Why would I lie to you? This storage ring is more than 10 times bigger than the one I gave you. It's as empty as a warehouse, Night Sorrow said. You win. You must have something you didn't tell us. However, we won't force you. You must have your reasons for doing this. Sikong Chuyu looked at Night Sorrow and nodded slightly. I'll tell you when it's appropriate. Night Sorrow thought for a moment and felt that it wasn't important whether he told them or not. The ancient investiture of the gods involved too many things. If he told them, it might increase their knowledge, but it would also bring some pressure. Chapter 455. A Genius Remembers Love in 1 Second? We provide you with wonderful novels to read. Night Sorrow looked at Sikong Chuyu and then at Yang Lei. It's nothing. I'll tell you about it. Night Sorrow then told him about his encounter with the Dark Spirit Saint and the Life Saintess. How shameless. You still want to possess my body? Yang Lei cursed. You can't say that she's shameless. That's just the way cultivators do things. It's the law of the jungle. She's capable of possessing someone's body, but she's just unlucky. Night Sorrow said. Sikong Chuyu said with a smile. Luck? She's an old woman who's about to fall. If she wants to fight to the death with a rising star like you, the heavens won't be on her side. Of course, this is only in terms of luck. If it were anyone else, she would just crush them with her soul and possess them. This is the probability. 1 in 10,000 or 1 in a million. She's really unlucky. After worrying for Night Sorrow, Yang Lei's heart was filled with emotions. After all, it wasn't impossible for someone to have a heavenly fate jewel to protect their deity ocean, but the chances were extremely low. This is her bad luck to have met me. If she had met someone else, she would have definitely succeeded. If she had succeeded in taking over someone else's body, as long as she hides for a period of time, it would definitely be a disaster when she comes out. Night Sorrow sighed in his heart, because if the Life Saintess succeeded in taking over someone else's body, it would be a serious problem. Baidu search AI go female sign xiao say www.ichuxs.com. The Dark Spirit Saint could also possess someone, but he didn't, so he had a chance to reincarnate. He followed the heavens, but the Life Saintess went against the heavens, so she dug her own grave. Sikong Chuyu, like Night Sorrow, respected the Dark Spirit Saint. I've always felt that there's something wrong with the investiture of the gods that we don't know about. Perhaps there's some big secret hidden. For example, the Dark Spirit Saint is from our 9 regions world, but I don't understand what's going on with the Life Saintess. In addition, the Dark Spirit Saint said that it was a group of cultivators who were unwilling to be oppressed. Who was oppressing them? Night Sorrow explained his doubts. Since he had already told them about the death space, Night Sorrow didn't hide anything. Besides, he could see that it didn't affect the 2 girls. Don't worry about it. We just need to live well. What's the matter? If there's something, there's a venerable above. Yang Lei said indifferently. Ninth Senior Sister's heart is so big, just like your chest. Sikong Chuyu stretched out her hand and patted Yang Lei's chest. What's wrong? No, Chuyu, are you jealous? Yang Lei smiled and looked at Sikong Chuyu with a strange gaze. What am I jealous of? 13. Do you think I need to be jealous? Sikong Chuyu puffed out his chest and looked at Night Sorrow. Each has their own merits. What's the difference? After saying that each has their own merits, Night Sorrow was a bit confused. After becoming women, Yang Lei and Sikong Chuyu were different from before. Each has their own merits. 13. You still have good taste. Not bad. Yang Lei patted Night Sorrow's shoulder and said, Ninth Senior Sister, don't hit me like that. I'm embarrassed and you guys don't feel comfortable looking at me, right? Night Sorrow said with some embarrassment. Comfortable. Yang Lei and Sikong Chuyu both nodded. This made Night Sorrow smile. Because of harmony in the family. You're still very happy. Yang Lei looked at Night Sorrow and said with a smile. Very happy. Having you two, I'm very happy. I like this feeling very much. Night Sorrow stretched out his hands and said as he held the 2 girls' hands. The 2 girls nodded. Their words just now were to let Night Sorrow relax. After chatting for a while, the 3 of them began to meditate and cultivate. After cultivating for many years in the past, Yang Lei and Sikong Chuyu's passion for cultivation had already faded. However, their interest in cultivation had been reignited recently. Because of the unlimited resources, their cultivation had improved quickly. It was completely different from before, when their cultivation had not improved significantly. After cultivating for half a day and one night, Night Sorrow woke up early to cultivate his spear techniques. You're in good shape. Gong Xian came over and directly threw a storage belt to Night Sorrow. Eldest senior brother, come and sit inside. Night Sorrow brought Gong Xian into the tent. Night Sorrow was especially respectful towards Gong Xian, his eldest senior brother. Your sixth senior sister asked the first elder to bring it to you. The first elder has been busy with the battle of the Medicine Valley disciples and actually forgot about it. He only remembered it today. Gong Xian said with a smile. The sixth senior sister still remembers me. Night Sorrow smiled and kept the storage belt. Your cultivation speed is simply indescribable. Eldest senior brother is also stimulated by you. Gong Xian sized up Night Sorrow and said. Currently, Gong Xian was also at the peak of the third level of the Void Inquiry stage. He felt that his cultivation speed was very fast. However, Night Sorrow and the other two had already caught up with him. Eldest senior brother, you must be joking. Is there any problem in the Medicine Valley? Night Sorrow asked. Very good. There were some injuries some time ago. Only 2 people lost their lives. It's much better than the other sections. Gong Xian nodded at Night Sorrow. After chatting with Night Sorrow for a while, Gong Xian went back. Recently, he had been stabilizing his cultivation and was preparing to break through to the 4th level of the Void Inquiry stage. Night Sorrow opened his storage belt and saw some wine, a few stacks of robes and a few stacks of silk skirts. After taking a deep breath, Night Sorrow kept the wine and the robes into his storage ring. Then he passed the silk skirts to Yang Lei. Shirsan, I miss sixth senior sister a little. Yang Lei said while wiping the corners of her eyes. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation 9th Senior Sister. We'll go back after we're done with the things we have on hand. Night Sorrow patted Yang Lei's shoulder and said. All right. These are for you. Yang Lei gave one of the stacks to Sikong Chuyu and 2 stacks of silk skirts. Aoi prepared them for the 3 of them. After chatting for a while, Night Sorrow went out of the tent and played with Tianyu and the silver fox. After being intimate with Night Sorrow for a while, Tianyu's body trembled. Then he went to Night Sorrow's tent and lay down beside it without moving. Advancement is going to advance. Night Sorrow looked at Tianyu, who was lying down in surprise. Is trying to break through to the 5th level. Its growth speed is really shocking. It's as heaven-defying as Shirsan. Yang Lei sighed with emotion because there was no 5th level mount in the entire Medicine Valley. The dark feathered eagle was the first one. The current structure of the Medicine Valley had expanded. If it was in the past, they would definitely pay attention to the appearance of a 5th level demonic beast with self-awareness. Night Sorrow went to Tianyu's side and poured 2 drops of origin spiritual fluid into the gap between Tianyu's beak. He was worried about Tianyu, so he wanted to do everything he could for Tianyu. Demonic beasts have feelings when they advance. If we're not sure, they won't advance. We just have to guard Tianyu. Sikong Chuyu said to Night Sorrow. She could feel that Night Sorrow's emotions were fluctuating. Night Sorrow nodded and sat down cross-legged with Yang Lei and Sikong Chuyu to guard Tianyu. Soon after, the members of the Blood Strike Guard joined them. Night Sorrow is heaven-defying. Even his mount is so abnormal, Qin Nan said from afar. Chapter 456. Genius 1 second. Remember love go divided by Shao? We provide you with wonderful novels to read. Logically speaking, this demonic beast shouldn't have appeared because no such beast has ever appeared in the eastern Xian region. How did it come about? Qin Nan had doubts in his heart. There is one possibility. An ancient beast egg. In other words, it could be a newly unearthed ancient beast egg. It was originally in some alternate space or spatial crack. Due to the change in the environment, it appeared, Lei Hua said. That's possible. The green rock and the black one are both ancient beasts. Both bloodlines are heaven-defying, let alone 2. Let's see what this guy will become after he evolves. Lan Yuxuan was also looking forward to Tianyu's evolution. The most nervous person was Night Sorrow. His gaze was fixed on Tianyu. He was even more nervous than his own evolution. He knew what was going on, but he didn't know what was going on with Tianyu's evolution. Time slipped away bit by bit. In the blink of an eye, 3 days had passed. Tianyu's evolution was relatively slow. However, the flow of energy on his body was getting stronger and stronger. It could even be said that it was rushing in all directions. Night Sorrow, Yang Lei, Sikong Chuyu, the Blood Strike Guards and Ho Jian who were guarding him, had to put some distance between them. Suddenly the energy on Tianyu's body surged. Green energy surged and churned violently. The scene was very shocking. Baidu search AI go female sign Shao say www.ichuxs. At this moment, the sky darkened, and a dark cloud appeared in the sky without anyone noticing. 13 This is bad. It's a lightning tribulation. Yang Lei's expression changed. Why would there be a lightning tribulation? Night Sorrow was a little anxious. He was very worried about Tianyu. When a heaven-defying demonic beast evolves, there will be a heavenly Tao test. When a flood dragon evolves into a dragon, there will be a lightning tribulation. When a human venerable becomes a saint, there will also be a lightning tribulation, Sikong Chuyu said as he looked at the dark cloud in the sky. Don't worry, we have to believe in Tianyu. He can do it. Yang Lei said as she grabbed Night Sorrow's shoulder. At this moment, Tianyu's aura changed again. Gray energy appeared within the green energy. The second attribute, space attribute. This is an advanced attribute, Sikong Chuyu said in surprise. At this moment, Lan Yushuan's people were also extremely shocked. A demonic beast that was in the process of evolving had activated a high-level attribute. Such a thing was almost unheard of, triggering a lightning tribulation and the appearance of a high-grade elemental attribute. This demonic beast is going to overturn the heavens, Qin Nan said. Tianyu's curled-up body stretched out, and he let out a long roar towards the sky. Following that, a bright light burst out from his body, and his aura rose from the peak of the Type 4 realm to the Type 5 realm. Then it continued to rise, Type 5 Level 1, Type 5 Level 2. At this moment, there was a thunderclap in the sky, and a purple lightning bolt struck down at Tianyu. At this time, Tianyu stood up, and the energy in his body turned into a shadow that was similar to him and rushed into the sky. Asterisk bang asterisk with a loud explosion, Tianyu's shadow collided with the lightning bolt. Then they canceled each other out. Dark clouds rolled in the sky. After rolling for a while, they dispersed and the sky became clear again. After letting out another roar and taking a glance at Night Sorrow, Tianyu lay down and stopped moving. He was stabilizing his cultivation base. Originally, he could still improve his cultivation base. However, he was interrupted by the lightning tribulation and could only advance to the second level of the void inquiry stage. He's still underage? Yang Lei's eyes stared straight at Tianyu. Yes. The energy is still flowing to every part of his body. Sikong Chuyu nodded. Night Sorrow did not pay attention to that. What he was concerned about was Tianyu's safety. The energy in Tianyu's body flowed towards his beak and claws while he was lying on the ground. Those were his attacking parts during battles. Every time he advanced, they would be strengthened. Just as Night Sorrow was inspecting his body, a spiritual wave appeared in his mind, comforting Night Sorrow and telling him to be at ease. After being stunned for a while, Night Sorrow knew that it was Tianyu's spiritual wave. It was telling him to be at ease. 13. This Tianyu's achievement isn't just at the peak of the 5th rank. He's still underage. Yang Lei patted Night Sorrow's shoulder and said, as long as he's safe and sound, that's more important than anything else. After confirming that Tianyu was fine, Night Sorrow felt a lot more at ease. Lan Yushuan and the others also returned to the tent. Y update, 0 new MT is the fastest unspecified currency on. Its master is heaven-defying and its mount is also horny. It's already at the 5th rank but it's still underage. Won't it become a venerable realm demonic beast in the future? It's even a high-level one. Ho Yuan said with some emotion. In the 9 regions and 18 states, there are many venerable realm demonic beasts. However, they've all gone through countless years of cultivation after reaching adulthood. However, Night Sorrow's mount directly charged all the way to the 5th rank. At the same time, it still retains its potential. When it enters the venerable realm in the future, it'll also be one of the best in the venerable realm, Lan Yushuan said. It's really quite impressive. Today's matter will affect the dark creatures. We should be careful and not be ambushed by them, Leihor reminded everyone. Night Sorrow held a wine jar and stood not far from Tianyu. He looked at Tianyu while drinking. The tension in his heart finally relaxed. You should also rest for a while. Tianyu's side is fine, Sikong Chuyu said as he came to Night Sorrow's side. Alright, I'll go cultivate too. Night Sorrow finished the wine jar in one gulp. After returning to the tent, Night Sorrow took out the void elixir and ate it. Then he took the ice spirit blood essence and the spirit crystal and started cultivating. Night Sorrow cultivated quietly. However, the commotion caused by Tianyu's breakthrough was still ongoing. The disciples of the other sects wanted to take a closer look at Tianyu, but they were all blocked by the blood strike guards. Yang Lei and Sikong Chuyu were still the same. They cultivated like Night Sorrow every night and cultivated their combat skills during the day. The situation on Broken Cloud Mountain was stable for human cultivators below the Venerable Realm. However, Venerables went out to battle every day. Even if the dark creatures retreated, they would send Venerables to kill them and control the number of dark creatures. Otherwise, when the dark creatures accumulate to tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands and charge at them, the human defense line would not be able to withstand it. Night Sorrow cultivated for 5 days and directly raised his true chi cultivation to the peak of the 3rd level of the Void Inquiry stage. His Myriad Dao treasure tome had also reached the peak of the 8th level of the Consolidation realm. However, the Ice Spirit blood essence in his hand had also turned into a useless rock. After stretching his body, Night Sorrow walked out of the tent. Night Sorrow was not prepared when he walked out of the tent. He was almost knocked down by Tianyu, who rubbed his big head against him. "You grow really fast." Night Sorrow rubbed Tianyu's head while feeling a little emotional. It was also because Tianyu lowered his head that Night Sorrow could touch his head. Otherwise, he would not have been able to reach it. After breaking through to the 5th level, Tianyu's height was about 1.5 zhang tall. His body was about 1.5 zhang in diameter and 10 zhang in length. His body was full of streamlined beauty. What made Tianyu different from other flying demonic beasts was his 2 legs and sharp claws. Other flying demonic beasts had longer claws, but their legs were very bony and thin. Chapter 457. Genius Remembers Love in 1 second/small? We provide you with wonderful novels to read. Tianyu's head bumped into Night Sorrow. At the same time, Night Sorrow's mind also sent out waves of energy. Night Sorrow easily understood that Tianyu wanted him to get on his back. Night Sorrow called out to Silver Fox and then jumped onto Tianyu's back. Silver Fox's speed was also very fast. As soon as Night Sorrow landed on Tianyu's back, Silver Fox also pounced at Night Sorrow's feet. Tianyu's wings flapped and rose into the sky. A protective energy shield appeared on his body. When the protective energy shield covered Night Sorrow and Silver Fox, Tianyu's body rushed out. Night Sorrow did not find any traces of flying. It was as if he was traveling through space. While Night Sorrow was surprised, Tianyu flew rapidly again. Night Sorrow confirmed that Tianyu's flight did have a blank period. In other words, when he was flying at high speed, he was traveling through space without a trace. At this time, Night Sorrow's mind sent out waves of energy. Although it was not a language, the message was very clear. Tianyu told Night Sorrow that this was a unique skill he learned after reaching rank 5. It was a skill that used space energy to perform space travel. However, it consumed a lot of energy and could not be used for a long time. Space energy. It was also a natural ability. Space travel was Tianyu's natural ability. After flying in the sky for a while and catching a giant python, Tianyu brought Night Sorrow and Silver Fox back to the camp. After landing, Tianyu crushed the giant python's head with his claws. Then, with a sharp peck, he cut open the giant python's stomach and ate the giant python's gallbladder. To think that a Tier 4 giant python couldn't even put up the slightest bit of resistance. Tianyu's combat prowess is truly impressive, Ho Jian lamented. Tianyu has the bloodline of the Azure Rock. After he advanced, the power of his bloodline is very obvious. He has a natural suppression against serpent beasts. Plus, there is a gap between their cultivation levels. So there is no point in fighting, Night Sorrow said. Next, Ho Jian and the others cleaned up the 2,000 to 3,000 caddies python and roasted it over the fire. Night Sorrow returned to the tent after helping Tianyu comb the feathers on his neck. At this time, Yang Lei and Sikong Chuyu were practicing carving. They didn't have the ability to increase their soul power like Night Sorrow, so they could only rely on sculpting to increase their soul power. You're back. Did you have fun playing with Tianyu? Yang Lei's jade-like hands trembled as she finished the carving in her hands. Tianyu is too powerful. He actually has the ability to travel through space. Although the distance isn't very far, this move is very heaven-defying, Night Sorrow said as he brewed a pot of tea. Tianyu has the space attribute. In addition to his strong combat prowess, it is very difficult to defeat him unless one is a venerable. With just his speed he is invincible. Sikong Chuyu also finished carving the jade statue in his hands. Night Sorrow looked at the carvings in Yang Lei and Sikong Chuyu's hands and said, "Give these 2 to me." "No. I believe that I will carve a better one. I will carve the most perfect one for you." Yang Lei shook her head and said, "I think so too." Sikong Chuyu nodded, expressing the same thoughts as Yang Lei. Then Yang Lei and Sikong Chuyu exchanged carvings. Almost at the same time, they directly shattered the carvings into pieces. "What are you two doing?" Night Sorrow looked at the 2 girls with some surprise. "What's the point of keeping them? If word gets out, will you be happy?" Yang Lei looked at Night Sorrow and asked. "Not happy. I just feel that it's a pity," Night Sorrow said. At the same time he understood what the 2 girls meant. Exchanging carvings and destroying them was a sign of respect. After all, destroying someone else's carvings was disrespectful. But there was no point in keeping them. After all, as one's carving skills improved, the carvings would also become better. The three of them drank tea and chatted. Night Sorrow had just finished his cultivation and needed to relax. Night Sorrow, although your tea brewing skills are not as good as Chu Yu's, it's still an improvement. Yang Lei said. Hee, it's fine as long as there's something to drink. Why are you so picky? Night Sorrow shook his head helplessly. You can only improve if I'm strict with you. Isn't that right? Yang Lei patted Night Sorrow's shoulder and said. Yes, Ninth Senior Sister, you win. Night Sorrow poured himself a cup of tea and said with a smile. Brewing tea is also a kind of knowledge. It can calm the heart and cultivate one's character. It can be considered a kind of cultivation of the mind. Sikong Chiyu said. I understand. I'll be the tea master for the two of you in the future. Night Sorrow said with a smile. Mosin B6, Section J, the current 13 has changed a lot. I clearly remember the first time I saw him. He was just a child. He looked a little weak and his frown made one's heart ache. When I had the thought of liking him, I felt guilty. Yang Lei spoke of her feelings in a low voice. Yes, who would look at a child like Night Sorrow now? Yi Shang is already a young talent whose name shakes a region, Sikong Chiyu said. Chiyu, I originally planned to go to the Qingtian region to find you after I reached the 4th level. Later, when you came to the Eastern Shen region, I decided to go to the Qingtian region Sikong clan to propose marriage when I reached the 5th level. However, plans can never keep up with changes. Night Sorrow said apologetically. What's the difference? Didn't you bully me? Sikong Chiyu said with a red face. Of course there's a difference. I want to propose marriage openly. Night Sorrow said. I'll wait for you. However, we're already together. There's no need to rush. Sikong Chiyu shook his head. That's right. At most, I'll give them a little grandson. If they don't believe me, who will say anything? Yang Lei pulled Sikong Chiyu's arm and said with a smile. Ninth Senior Sister, you're too direct. However, it's also a solution. Sikong Chiyu glared at Yang Lei and said. You guys have too little confidence in me. As long as I don't die, I can definitely do what I want to do. Night Sorrow said. Pei. What are you talking about? You're not even 20 years old, but you're already at the peak of the 3rd level of the Void Inquiry stage. What kind of concept is that? As long as the Sikong clan investigates it, they will have to consider it carefully. Yang Lei said. There's another thing that's been weighing on my mind. After Qianyu showed his talent, I realized that the problem wasn't simple. Night Sorrow said. What is it? Tell me. Sikong Chiyu asked. Do any of you know Taichuan? Night Sorrow thought for a moment and asked. Taichuan? I know this name, but I'm not sure if it's the same one I'm talking about. Yang Lei thought for a moment and said. Yang Lei then explained in detail what she knew. Taichuan was an ancient space that was even older than the ancient investiture of the Gods' War. It was an ancient battlefield where the cultivators of the 9 zones fought against cultivators from the outside world. However, that space has been shattered. Yang Lei took a sip of tea after explaining the details and came to a conclusion. Chapter 458. Genius 1 second. Remember love go divided by Xiao? We provide you with wonderful novels to read. Why do you think so? Yang Lei stood up in surprise. She knew that Night Sorrow never lied. Baidu search AI go female sign Xiao say www.ichuxs.com. The Holy Cauldron scripture of our Medicine Valley was found by me from there. My Myriad Tao treasure book was also obtained from there. Do you understand? Yi Shang asked. I know a little about Taichuan. Tell me, what do you know? Sikong Chiyu looked at Night Sorrow and asked. Night Sorrow told him what he had encountered. That's not right. According to the records in the Medicine Valley has a history of 7,000 years. The War of the Gods happened 10,000 years ago, not to mention the ancient battlefield that was much older than the War of the Gods. It doesn't match at all, Yang Lei said, shaking her head. Ninth Senior Sister, the Medicine Valley has a history of 7,000 years, but it might not be only 7,000 years. Something might have happened and the inheritance might have been broken. Feng Chen claimed to be an elder of the Medicine Valley, so it can't be wrong. Love Gon Xiao say W, Chusikong Chiyu said. There's another possibility, which is that there was a problem with Taichuan, and the ancestors of the Medicine Valley happened to discover it and then went to guard it. It's impossible to calculate the time. Could be 6,000 years ago or 3,000 years ago. Who knows? Yi Shang said. That's possible. Yang Lei nodded. She felt that Night Sorrow's analysis was reasonable. I suspect that Tianyu came from Taichuan. Otherwise, where would such a strange beast with an ancient bloodline come from? Night Sorrow speculated. Whatever you say is possible. We don't know what the hell the nether beast is, but it doesn't matter. If there was a problem, it would have happened long ago. We don't need to worry about it, Sikong Chuyu said. Then let's not think about it. Let's focus on the problem at hand. Night Sorrow knew that he was worrying for nothing. Taichuan is an ancient battlefield, one that existed even before the ancient war of investiture of the gods. There's nothing to think about. As for the matter at hand, let the Venerable One think about it. We just have to work hard and cultivate, Sikong Chuyu said. First LD hair W, that's true. We think too highly of ourselves. Some things have nothing to do with us, Night Sorrow said after taking a sip of tea. After chatting for a while, Yi Shang went to the command tent and greeted a few of the upper echelons of the eastern Shen region. When they saw Night Sorrow, Lei Hua and the others were very polite. First of all, Night Sorrow's cultivation wasn't low. If this continued, he would rise very quickly. Secondly, there was the problem of identity and status. In the eyes of Lei Hua, Ho Yuan and Lan Yushuan, Night Sorrow had to be treated as an equal. This was because once Night Sorrow officially became a celestial emissary of the Tianji Tower, his status would surpass theirs. As for the people of the City Lord Mansion, they weren't stupid either. They all knew how Wu Lingfei treated Night Sorrow. After coming out of the command tent, Night Sorrow went to the Medicine Valley and chatted with the Great Elder, Gong Xian, and the others for a while before returning to the tent. You're back. Yang Lei nodded at Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow nodded. Senior Lei and the others said that it's fine to maintain the current situation. Another thing is that the City Lord Mansion destroyed one of the GU family's outposts. They hid it well, but if the City Lord Mansion wants to investigate, they won't be able to hide it. Ai Go Xiao Sei, Night Sorrow said. The GU family has been developing very fast in recent years. They're quite powerful. If they want to expand their influence, they have to expand to other regions, Sikong Chuyu said. How powerful is the GU family? Night Sorrow asked curiously. They're the most powerful family in the Qingtian region, which is ranked relatively high among the 9 regions. In other words, the 7 superpowers of the Eastern Shen region may not be a match for the GU family even if they join forces. Sikong Chuyu thought for a while and explained the situation of the GU family. They're so powerful. Night Sorrow said in surprise. They're an old family that has been around for countless years. They have a deep foundation and many venerables. Therefore, the forces of the Eastern Shen region can't compare to them. Sikong Chuyu introduced the GU family to Night Sorrow and Yang Lei. No matter how powerful they are, I won't let them go. Night Sorrow clenched her fists and said, Let's not talk about this anymore. I'm a little annoyed. Yang Lei said. After chatting for a while, Night Sorrow went to chat and drink with Ho Jian and the others. Night Sorrow relaxed for 2 days. He had just taken the Void Elixir and improved his cultivation, so he needed to relax. The way to relax was to drink tea, drink wine, and walk around casually. This was not a suitable place for Night Sorrow to be intimate with the 2 girls. The soul power of Venerables was very strong. It enveloped the entire campsite. Nothing that happened in the campsite could escape their detection. Night Sorrow naturally didn't dare to do anything overboard. After resting and relaxing, Night Sorrow began to cultivate. While he stabilized his true chi cultivation, he cultivated the myriad Dao's treasured tome and increased his soul power. At the same time, he cultivated his innate bloodline power. On this day, Night Sorrow was just cultivating when he was interrupted by a muffled sound. At this time, a great battle broke out in the sky above the defensive line. It was a full-scale battle between the Dark Spirit corpses. The battle was very intense. The Dark Spirit Corps commander in the lead was very strong. Lei Hua couldn't handle it alone. Then Lan Yushuan took action. The 2 of them attacked together and stabilized the situation. However, they were still at a disadvantage. Night Sorrow, what's going on? Why are there so many Dark Spirit corpses? Yang Lei looked at the sky with some astonishment. A very strong Dark Spirit Corps has appeared. It should be the Dark Spirit Corps commander. Its single combat power has already surpassed the strongest person on our side. Night Sorrow, whose soul power enveloped the battlefield, discovered the problem. At this time, the strongest person on the battlefield wasn't Lei Hua, but the Dark Spirit Corps wearing black armor. Ho Jian, Xueling, come here. Night Sorrow shouted at Ho Jian and Xueling, Captain. Ho Jian and Xueling hurried over. This is serious. You guys lead the team well. Ninth senior sister, lend me the black-feathered eagle. I will use the two mounts alternately. Use the fastest speed to report back. Night Sorrow gave some instructions and shouted at Yang Lei. Yang Lei nodded and threw the beast-taming crystal to Night Sorrow. Remember, safety first. If our sovereigns can't handle it, don't say anything else. Just retreat. Night Sorrow flashed onto Tianyu's back and rode Tianyu towards Star Cloud City. Night Sorrow could activate the Phantom Stone Pearl that Wu Lingfei gave him, but he didn't think it was that bad. As long as Lei Hua and Lan Yuxuan didn't lose, the dark creatures wouldn't be able to attack. Night Sorrow controlled Tianyu and flew quickly towards Star Cloud City. After flying for an hour, Yi Shan found that he and Tianyu had been imprisoned. Not far in front of him was Wu Lingfei, who was wearing a white robe and a light veil and wearing a golden mask. Auntie Fei, I was just about to inform you, Night Sorrow said. Vice Palace Master Lei has informed Auntie Fei to keep the mounts. Let's go now, Wu Lingfei said. Wu Lingfei said. She waved her arm and energy wrapped around Night Sorrow, who had put away his mount, and they flew towards Broken Cloud Mountain. Auntie Fei, that guy is very strong. Senior Lei and Supervisor Lan can't get the upper hand. Night Sorrow said worriedly. As long as they don't go back, Auntie Fei will kill them. Wu Lingfei said coldly. Tianyu had been flying at top speed for an hour, but Wu Lingfei had covered the distance in just a moment. Chapter 459. A Genius Remembers Love in 1 Second? We provide you with wonderful novels to read. In the Battle of the Venerables, the Eastern Xian region's side was completely at a disadvantage. The main reason was that the strongest Lei Hua and Lan Yuxuan were completely suppressed by the strongest Dark Spirit Corps commander. It wouldn't be long before they were defeated. How audacious. Since you've come to attack, then die. Lei Hua, Lan Yuxuan, you two go somewhere else. Don't let them retreat. After speaking, Wu Lingfei's body flashed and appeared above the head of the Dark Spirit Corps commander that Lei Hua and Lan Yuxuan were attacking. Then she sent out a palm strike. Wu Lingfei's palm strike didn't cause as much of an explosion as Lei Hua and Lan Yuxuan's attacks. However, the area covered by her jade-like hand had turned into a world of ice. This Dark Spirit Corps wearing black armor was also wrapped in ice. Could be said that it was directly frozen. Crack. The Dark Spirit Corps let out a low roar and the ice was broken. However, Wu Lingfei's second palm came and froze it again. Wu Lingfei continued to attack, and the Dark Spirit Corps commander was constantly frozen and shaken, its aura plummeting. Die. After freezing the Dark Spirit Corps commander once again, Wu Lingfei's body flickered, and she arrived in front of the ice block where the Dark Spirit Corps commander was sealed, and pressed out with her palm again. Wu Lingfei's palm was no longer filled with white cold qi. Instead, it was filled with light green energy that was brimming with vitality. Love Gon Little Sake could the energy of this palm hit the Dark Spiritual Corps commander that had just shaken off the ice seal. There was no sound. The Dark Spirit Zombie commander instantly disintegrated. Its armor didn't shatter, and neither did its blade. However, its body shattered into bits and pieces. What kind of attack is this? Yang Lei, who was standing beside Night Sorrow, asked in surprise. Life energy attacks just happened to counter the death attribute. Night Sorrow's eyes were also filled with shock. Wu Ling concubine was unbelievably strong. The Dark Spirit Corps that had suppressed Lei Hua and Lan Yuxuan for half a day was killed in a few palms. After killing this Dark Spirit Corps commander, Wu Lingfei's body flashed as she charged towards another Dark Spirit Corps. She continued to freeze it and then killed it with a palm strike. After the two Dark Spirit Corpses were killed, the other Dark Spirit Corpses used their own methods to escape. However, there was another unlucky Dark Spirit Corpse that was caught up by Wu Lingfei after killing the second Dark Spirit Corpse. After freezing it with a few palms, she easily killed it. After killing the three Dark Spirit Corpses, Wu Lingfei didn't continue the chase. She flashed and landed beside Night Sorrow. Baidu search AI go female sign shao say www.ichuxs.com. Auntie Fei, you are too overbearing. Night Sorrow said excitedly. Originally, I couldn't be bothered to deal with them. Our Eastern Xian region is also training our soldiers, but I didn't expect them to have such thoughts and want to fight their way in. Wu Lingfei's words were filled with disdain and confidence. After a while, Lei Hua, Lan Yuxuan, Qi Nan, Ho Yuan, and the others returned. Their complexions weren't too good. When they arrived in front of Wu Lingfei, they bowed and said, "Sorry to disappoint, Lord." They ran into the spatial tunnel. It's nothing. Stabilize the situation and follow the old plan. This lord will stay here. If they have the ability, then charge. Wu Lingfei threw down these words and then waved her hand at the others. Lei Hua and the others bowed and left to prepare the defense. Let's go. Go and make a pot of tea for Auntie Fei. Wu Lingfei turned and said to Night Sorrow. Oh, send a CD. Night Sorrow nodded and brought Wu Lingfei into the tent. Yang Lei and Xikong Qiu also followed. Holding the tea that Night Sorrow made, Wu Lingfei played with the teacup and pondered. Then Lord, please take a seat. We will go out for a walk. Yang Lei and Xikong Qiu stood up. Wu Lingfei was wearing a mask so she couldn't drink tea. However, she didn't intend to take off her mask. Sit. You are all Night Sorrow's people. Some things can't be hidden forever. Wu Lingfei said and took off her mask. This lord is the Tower Lord of Tianji Tower in front of others. However, I am also the City Lord of Dongshan City. When I am in charge of Tianji Tower, I wear a mask. When I am in charge of the City Lord Manor, I wear a veil. Only a few people know of this lord's identity. In fact, it's not that I am afraid of being exposed. I just don't want to be involved in too many things. Wu Lingfei said while drinking tea. Lord, don't worry. We are not people with big mouths. Yang Lei said. At this time, she was still shocked by Wu Lingfei's stunning beauty. Night Sorrow, why didn't you activate the spirit orb that Auntie Fei gave you? Wu Lingfei looked at Night Sorrow and asked. Didn't Auntie Fei say that I should only activate it when my life is in danger? The situation just now was quite urgent, but it wasn't to the point where my life was in danger. Night Sorrow said the reason why he didn't activate it. You're right. These things are Eastern Xian region's matters. Auntie Fei gave you the spirit orb which is for your personal use. If it is not necessary, you can't activate it. Wu Lingfei looked at Night Sorrow and said. Night Sorrow understands. Night Sorrow nodded. You two also sit down. If you don't mind, you can call this lord the same way as Night Sorrow. Although this lord's face is young, I didn't take advantage of you. Wu Lingfei looked at Yang Lei and Xikong Qiu and said. Auntie Fei is joking. Yang Lei and Xikong Qiu both nodded. Your sky blue water attribute has been activated, and it has also begun to strengthen your body. This is the effect of an ultimate attribute. This lord's profound jade body is also based on the same principle as yours. Wu Lingfei looked at Xikong Qiu and said. Many thanks for Auntie Fei's guidance. Xikong Qiu bowed to Wu Lingfei. It's nothing. Your name is Yang Lei, right? You don't need to worry. Every attribute has an ultimate attribute, and the thunder attribute is the same. Whether you can comprehend it or not depends on the opportunity. When the opportunity arrives, it naturally won't be a problem. The thunder attribute is also divided into two types. One is the purple flame thunder attribute, and the other is the black demon thunder attribute. The former belongs to the gentler side of the thunder attribute and contains vitality. It is like an ancient tree that can still be reborn after being struck by lightning. This is the purple flame thunder attribute, and the black demon thunder attribute is destructive. If you have the opportunity, you should also walk the former path. Wu Lingfei looked at Yang Lei and said. Many thanks for Auntie Fei's advice. Yang Lei stood up and cupped her hands. You don't need to be so polite. Night Sorrow, later on you will prepare a tent for Auntie Fei. During this time, Auntie Fei will cultivate here. Wu Lingfei said to Night Sorrow. Good, I will prepare it for Auntie Fei in a moment. Night Sorrow came out of the tent and said to Ho Jian before returning to the tent. Your cultivation has increased, but at this stage you must advance steadily. Wu Lingfei reminded Night Sorrow again. Is Auntie Fei's cultivation progressing well? Night Sorrow asked. He already understood Wu Lingfei's level. Wu Lingfei's goal was to break through to the sage realm and become a sage. If she could take this step, then the problem of the death space would be solved. How should I say it? If I forcefully break through, there is a chance. But if I have time to settle down, it will be better. Besides, I'm not in a hurry now. Wu Lingfei said with a smile. Auntie Fei, what is the level of the dark spirit corpse today? Night Sorrow thought for a moment and asked. It is indeed very strong. It is at the late stage of the sage realm. Because its attribute suppresses Lei Hua and the others, and its cultivation is higher, Lei Hua and the others couldn't withstand it. Wu Lingfei said. Chapter 460. Genius 1 second remember love/go/little? Show.net provides you with wonderful novels to read. That guy should be the leader of the death space. He's already at the peak of the 8th level and can enter the 9th level at any time. Wu Lingfei said. You, L forever, K long? Exempt X hashtag Fiyung look at little %/ say, Auntie Fei, are you confident in dealing with it? Night Sorrow asked. No problem, I think I'll still need you when the time comes. Wu Lingfei glanced at Night Sorrow and said. I'm fine. If you need me to do anything, just let me know. Night Sorrow said. Let's not talk about the Dark Island's spatial tunnel rejecting cultivators above the 5th level. The spatial tunnel's energy resistance is very strong, right? It looks at attributes. The death attribute suppresses other attributes, so ordinary attributes will be blocked outside. However, you won't be suppressed. You can enter. Wu Lingfei said. But won't I be abused if I go in? Night Sorrow said with a bitter smile. No, I'll put it this way. The soul orb that Auntie Fei gave you isn't an ordinary soul orb. It's a phantom stone orb that contains a soul avatar. The phantom stone can nourish the avatar. In the end, it won't be much different from the original body. Wu Lingfei said. This is Auntie Fei's soul avatar? Night Sorrow took out the phantom stone orb and looked at Wu Lingfei with surprise. Yes, when it's cultivated to perfection, it'll be a flesh and blood avatar. Wu Lingfei explained. Then I understand. Night Sorrow then put away the phantom stone orb. Last time, when I asked you to take the memory crystal to the crack in the dark sky, I wasn't worried about your safety because the phantom stone was in your arms. Wu Lingfei said to Night Sorrow. So it's like this. Then why didn't Auntie Fei take care of that fellow after seeing it last time? Night Sorrow asked the question in his heart. Because it's not worth it, Aunt Fei's clone has not cultivated to the large success realm. If it comes out from the Void Dao Stone, the losses will be great. That guy is at most a jar, not even a porcelain. Do you think it's worth it for Aunt Fei to lose her own clone and fight with it? Wu Lingfei smiled as she looked at Night Sorrow. Of course it's not worth it. How can it compare to Auntie Fei? Thank you, Auntie Fei. Night Sorrow bowed and said. His heart was filled with gratitude because Wu Lingfei had mentioned it a few times. If she were to activate the Void Dao Stone orb in danger, it would be equivalent to destroying her clone's future. You call me Auntie Fei, so you are my family in this world. If you are in danger, Auntie Fei will not sit idly by. Actually, Auntie Fei has long treated you as a junior. Wu Lingfei reached out to help Night Sorrow up. Night Sorrow nodded and did not say anything else. When Auntie Fei's clone cultivates to the large success realm, you can bring the Void Dao Stone orb into this space and activate it. Then Auntie Fei's clone will be able to clean up the guy inside. Wu Lingfei said her thoughts. Auntie Fei, just inform me when you can. Night Sorrow said. Alright then, let's do it this way. You don't have to feel any pressure, this is not a big deal. Auntie Fei will go and cultivate. In addition, you don't have to worry about any law attacks. Right now, Auntie Fei is in the nourishing stage, so it won't cause any other disturbances. After Wu Lingfei finished speaking, she put on her mask and left Night Sorrow's tent. Night Sorrow had already arranged for Ho Jian and the others to set up their tents. After sending off Wu Lingfei, Night Sorrow, Yang Lei, and Sikong Chuyu sat facing each other. It's too shocking. I've seen venerables fight before. It's not easy for venerables to kill venerables. After all, at that level, if they don't want to fight, they can still run away. But Auntie Fei's methods. Sikong Chuyu sighed. She can dominate the battle by herself. She can directly kill them. She can directly declare that if you don't accept it, then come. I guess this venerables won't come out. If they come out, they'll just die. Yang Lei was also deeply moved. Yi Shang didn't say anything. He just smiled at the two women and continued to cultivate. He wanted to cultivate his Jin Qi and soul power, as well as strengthen his bloodline talent. As for the Myriad Dao Treasured Tome, he wanted to stabilize his cultivation and advance naturally. The consolidation realm of the Myriad Dao Treasured Tome was a very easy realm for Night Sorrow. In the past, every advancement and breakthrough was an unbearable torture for him. Once he started cultivating, Night Sorrow lost all sense of time. He cultivated for 3 days straight. He only stood up after exhausting all the soul crystals in his hand. His Myriad Dao Treasured Tome cultivation had also reached level 9 of the consolidation realm. This time, not only did Night Sorrow successfully break through the Myriad Dao Treasured Tome, his Qi cultivation had also reached perfection. He could break through at any time. Night Sorrow was not in a hurry to break through. He glanced at Yang Lei and Sikong Chuyu, who were meditating with their eyes closed. He then left the tent and went to the front of the line of defense. This time, Lord Wu Kei has really scared the dark creatures. Their line of defense collapsed. Some of the high-level dark creatures ran back, and the low-level ones were all killed. Can be said that they have regained their clarity. Lan Yuxuan came to Night Sorrow's side and said, Yes, this is the power of the strong. One person can change the situation of the battle and turn the situation around. Night Sorrow said. Wu Lingfei's arrival had caused the dark creatures to retreat. This made him feel very emotional. Your cultivation has improved very quickly. I believe that you will be such a person in the future. Lan Yuxuan looked at Night Sorrow and said. Haha, Lord Supervisor is too kind. However, I will work hard. Night Sorrow said with a smile. It's not a compliment. It's the truth. Take it slow. You can definitely do it. Lan Yuxuan looked at Night Sorrow seriously and said. Night Sorrow nodded. He believed in himself. Currently he could fight above his level. As long as he maintained this momentum, he would definitely be able to fight above his level when he entered the Supremacy Realm in the future. As for whether he could enter the Supremacy Realm, Night Sorrow had never worried. If he could cultivate his soul power, entering the Supremacy Realm would not be a problem. Currently, the dark creatures have retreated. However, the hidden problem is still there. Every day that we don't solve it is another day that we won't feel at ease. This spatial passageway is very biased. It really makes people feel very helpless. Lan Yuxuan looked at the direction of the spatial passageway and said, everything will work out when the time comes. There shouldn't be any problem that can't be solved. It's just that the time isn't right yet. Night Sorrow said. As for the solution that Wu Lingfei mentioned, Night Sorrow did not mention it. Night Sorrow, your cultivation base has reached the peak of the peak third level of the Void Inquiry stage. You are about to enter the mid-Void Inquiry stage. Qin Nan also walked over. Since Commander Qin is here, I plan to rest for a while before going to break through. Night Sorrow said. Very good. The speed of your improvement is really impressive. Reaching the mid-Void Inquiry stage before the age of 20 has never happened before in the history of the 9 regions and 18 prefectures. Lan Yuxuan said. There should be. Perhaps I keep a low profile and don't want people to know about me. So, Supervisor Lan and Commander Qin, please don't praise me. Night Sorrow said. Chapter 461. A Genius Remembers Love in 1 Second? We provide you with wonderful novels to read. That energy slash is my innate bloodline power, Night Sorrow said. Night Sorrow didn't have the habit of lying. Either he evaded or didn't say anything. As for the situation with the spatial crack, Lan Yuxuan, Qin Nan, and the others had all seen it. It wasn't appropriate for him to evade. You actually have a bloodline talent? You haven't even reached Tier 5, yet your combat techniques and control are already at the Venerable Realm. You've even surpassed me. Now you've even come up with some bloodline talent. Do you still want others to live? Qin Nan looked at Night Sorrow unhappily. I was born with it. There's nothing I can do about it, Night Sorrow said with a smile. All right. This commander has nothing to say. Qin Nan shook her head. After chatting with Qin Nan and Lan Yuxuan for a while, Night Sorrow went to have a drink with his senior brothers before returning to his tent. When Night Sorrow returned, Yang Lei and Sikong Chuyu were practicing carving. Wu Lingfei was also present. Aunt Fei, you're here. Night Sorrow greeted her with a smile. And for you to be able to find this path, you are truly formidable. This is indeed a good method. Soul power is mental energy. Focus your mind and your soul power will increase quickly. You really have a way. Although I didn't check, Aunt Fei can feel that your soul power already has a foundation. Wu Lingfei opened her mouth and said. That's right, Wu Lingfei said. Auntie Fei, Night Sorrow is very shameless. His soul force can cultivate by itself, and he can also absorb soul crystals. We can only use this method. Sikong Chuyu pointed at Night Sorrow and complained. Yishang really is shameless in some ways, but there's nothing we can do about it. The way you two cultivate your soul strength isn't bad. Once your foundation is stable, you can cultivate on your own. Although you can't compare to Yishang, you'll still be ahead of other cultivators. That's good enough, said Wu Lingfei. Yang Lei and Sikong Chuyu both nodded. It was a joke to say that Night Sorrow was shameless. Love go little Seiko, alright, you guys continue to cultivate. Wu Lingfei got up and left the tent. After sending concubine Wu Ling off, Night Sorrow greeted the two ladies and went into seclusion. He wanted to break through to the 4th level of the Void Inquiry stage. While Night Sorrow was in seclusion, the others weren't idling around either. Some of them were in seclusion while others were cultivating. Currently, only 7 or 8 people in the Bloodstrike Guard had yet to reach the 5th rank. Lei Bao and Lei Zheng had also reached the peak of the 8th level of the Divine Severing Realm. It was only recently that they advanced to the 9th level of the Divine Severing Realm. Qin Zhen had the smoothest progress. He had already entered the Divine Severing Realm. Other than Night Sorrow, there was no one else in the Medicine Valley who could achieve this speed. It was Night Sorrow who overshadowed his sharpness. Tianyu brought the silver fox out to play every day. It was different from before. Not only did it eat cooked food, but it also ate raw food. Perhaps it needed a lot of energy. Besides, its successful advancement had also increased its ferocious chi. After spending 2 days, Night Sorrow's true chi cultivation base reached the 4th level of the Void Inquiry stage. After his advancement, Night Sorrow was one of the strongest second-generation disciples in the Medicine Valley. Currently, the strongest second-generation disciples in the Medicine Valley were Gong Xian and Yang Lei, who were both at the 4th level of the Void Inquiry stage. Night Sorrow was also at the 4th level of the Void Inquiry stage. After a successful advancement and stabilizing his cultivation base, Night Sorrow went out of the tent and stretched his body. Silver Fox, come here. Night Sorrow was stunned when he saw the Silver Fox. It was because the Silver Fox had entered the Divine Severing Realm without him knowing. At this moment, Tianyu's spirit wave reached Night Sorrow's mind. It told Night Sorrow that the Silver Fox felt that its innate bloodline would cause a disturbance if it broke through in the campsite. Therefore, it asked Tianyu to bring it to the Broken Cloud Mountain to break through. Not bad. Night Sorrow reached out his hand and touched the Silver Fox's head. Night Sorrow played with Tianyu and the Silver Fox for a while. Then he went to visit his brothers in the Blood Robes Guards. He also asked Xueling about the issue of resources. We have the resources. Thank you very much, Captain. Xueling bowed to Night Sorrow. You're welcome. I can concoct pills myself. What I lack is the materials. We can slowly gather the materials. The most practical thing is to turn the resources we have into strength. Night Sorrow said. Materials? We, the 5th squad of the Blood Robes Guards, used to train in the mountains. We have collected a lot of materials. I'll ask later. Xueling's eyes lit up when he heard Night Sorrow's words. Okay. What kind of pills do you want to concoct? Having the materials is not a problem. Night Sorrow nodded to Xueling. After chatting with Xueling for a while, Night Sorrow went to drink with Ho Jian and Lei Bao before returning to the tent. You don't have to worry too much. They are very motivated people, Yang Lei said. Since they trust me as their captain, I have to ask them. Night Sorrow sat down and said, You did well. Have some tea. Sikong Chiyu poured a cup of tea for Night Sorrow. With Aunt Fei here it's so quiet. The dark creatures don't even come out, Night Sorrow said with a smile. Aunt Fei's existence is the reason they came out. They are attacking the insurmountable mountain of the eastern Shen region. If they don't defeat Aunt Fei, all their methods and everything they rely on will be useless, Sikong Chiyu said. Yes. I don't know how long it will take to finish things here. Let's just cultivate here. Night Sorrow said. We'd better go with the flow. A calm heart will be at peace. Yang Lei patted Night Sorrow's shoulder. She was worried that Night Sorrow would not like this situation. Night Sorrow nodded. His state of mind was relatively calm. In the following days, Night Sorrow cultivated his foundation at night and his combat skills during the day. Then he took Tianyu out to hunt to improve the food of the Blood Robes Guards. In addition, his 7-star Brilliant Moon Spear had reached 6 spears in 1. X only I genuine EQ, Q his carrot he 3 was a pirated version. According to Wu Lingfei, he would be able to cultivate the 7-star Brilliant Moon Spear to perfection when he reached the late 5th order. The Blood Robes Guards, Ho Jian, and the others would practice combat skills every day. However, Night Sorrow couldn't because there was no one to spar with him. Cultivating the 7-star Brilliant Moon Spear to 6 spears in 1 allowed Night Sorrow's combat ability to improve. Night Sorrow also wanted to cultivate the Rebound Energy and Needle in the Cotton, but he was stopped by Wu Lingfei, who had come out to take a breather. Wu Lingfei felt that Night Sorrow's 3 energy exertion techniques were enough. Switching back and forth between 3 energy exertion techniques was already very good for offense and defense. Night Sorrow had absorbed Wu Lingfei's opinion. He also understood that some things were much better when cultivated to perfection than when grasping many things without proficiency. In addition, Wu Lingfei also taught Night Sorrow how to hide his attributes on a deeper level. Previously, Night Sorrow had used the mysterious jade spiritual energy in his hands to change his attributes, which was more troublesome. Now Wu Lingfei had taught Night Sorrow a unique skill to dissolve his attributes. This was the 2nd stage of the mysterious jade hands. When the Dantian's true qi was circulated through the veins in the hands, the mysterious jade hands characteristics would be used to dissolve the attributes. The 2nd stage of the mysterious jade hands was very powerful. Not only did it solve Night Sorrow's problem of concealing his attributes, It could also dissolve the opponent's attributes. This was a heaven-defying method. Chapter 462. Genius 1 second. Remember love divided by go divided by little? I'll provide you with wonderful novels to read. Thank you, Aunt Fei. Love gone little say, Chunite Sorrow, who had successfully upgraded the mysterious jade hands, bowed to Wu Lingfei. Hee, Aunt Fei is happy that you've achieved something. I'm really happy. Wu Lingfei said with a smile. Actually, I like Aunt Fei's ice seal the most. That move is really domineering. Night Sorrow said. That won't work. That's the manifestation of Aunt Fei's mysterious jade body's ice attribute energy. You only have ice attribute in your hands. That's far from enough. Moreover, the mysterious jade hands can only dissolve ordinary attributes. Ordinary attributes can't restrain it, but it can't dissolve high-level attributes. It can only dissolve your own attributes because they all come from your body. Wu Lingfei said while shaking her head. Night Sorrow helplessly nodded. He couldn't cultivate the ice seal. There was nothing he could do about it. Night Sorrow, you should be content with what you have. Wait until you've succeeded in cultivating the nihility attribute. You'll have more trump cards. The sovereign attribute can suppress other attributes. However, it's better if you don't show it. It'll attract too much hatred. Wu Lingfei sighed. She had never heard of anyone who could master the sovereign attribute. I'll work hard. Night Sorrow said while waving his arms. Take your time. I'm really looking forward to it. Wu Lingfei said. Aunt Fei, there's one more thing I want to tell you. After the matter here is settled, I'll leave the Eastern Shen region to explore the outside world. Night Sorrow said to Wu Lingfei. Aunt Fei understands. Aunt Fei won't stop you. We'll discuss it in detail when the time comes. Wu Lingfei said. Okay, I'll tell Aunt Fei in detail when the time comes. Night Sorrow said. Those guys are asking for a beating. They even want to expand their forces towards the Eastern Shen region. We've really given them some face. This matter isn't over yet. Wu Lingfei said. Night Sorrow nodded. He knew that Wu Lingfei had a huge grudge with the Qingtian region and Taiwei region. To be precise, it was the Eastern Shen region that had a huge grudge with them. After chatting for a while, Night Sorrow began to cultivate. Night Sorrow's cultivation was multi-pronged. He ate the origin spiritual liquid, held the ice spirit blood essence in his left hand, and held the soul crystal in his right hand. He cultivated his quintessential qi, the myriad Daoist tome, and his soul energy together. This made Yang Lei and Sikong Chuyu shake their heads. This situation had only happened to Night Sorrow. They had never heard of anyone else doing this. Time passed quickly, and in the blink of an eye, a month had passed. Night Sorrow was facing a problem as well. He had used up all the ice spirit blood essence, and his myriad Tao tome was only at the mid-stage of the 9th level of the consolidation realm. He was still half a level away. This made Night Sorrow feel very helpless. He really didn't want to use the life spirit liquid. The life spirit liquid was a top-grade resource. In the future, he would be able to use it when he reached the 6th or even the 7th step of the myriad Tao tome. Using it now was equivalent to killing the goose that laid the golden eggs. What's wrong? Why are you frowning? Wu Lingfei entered the tent and saw Night Sorrow frowning. Resources. Auntie Fei, you know that I cultivate my body. I'm currently at the peak of the 4th step, and I'm just 1 step away from advancing. However, I still don't have the resources to reach the 5th step. Night Sorrow said. When you reach the 4th step, you use the ice spirit blood essence to aid your cultivation, right? You can continue to search for the 5th step resources in the Eastern Icefields Icefield Sea. Wu Lingfei said. The ice spirit blood essence is very suitable for my cultivation of the 4th step. However, it's lacking when it comes to the 5th step. Night Sorrow expressed his confusion. Auntie Fei, you know that the Eastern Icefield Sea doesn't only have the ice spirit blood essence. There's also a type of black tortoise crystal. It's an energy body that's even stronger than the ice spirit blood essence. However, this type of crystal is buried at the bottom of the Icefield Sea and is very difficult to find. When your body's qi and blood churn and your essence qi rises, it should trigger a reaction from the black tortoise crystal. Wu Lingfei opened her mouth and said. That's right, Wu Lingfei said. Then I understand. It's good that you have a target. I'll go look for it later. Night Sorrow was somewhat excited. The general area is east of the Eastern Snow Mountain. Black tortoises have appeared in that sea region. The black tortoise crystal is formed when their energy is tempered by the Icefield Sea's Icefield Qi after they die. Wu Lingfei said to Night Sorrow. Good. That's great. Night Sorrow was extremely happy. Then Auntie Faye will tell you another piece of good news. Wu Lingfei smiled at Night Sorrow. Auntie Faye, don't spoil my appetite. Tell me what other good news you have. I've been having a headache trying to find the resources to cultivate this body. It's best if you can solve it. Night Sorrow asked somewhat anxiously. The black tortoise crystal is ordinary. There's also a type of blood spirit tortoise. After their deaths, they'll be tempered by the icefield sea and form a crystal that contains even more tyrannical energy. That's the blood spirit tortoise crystal. Of course, it's very difficult to obtain. Wu Lingfei said. I'll definitely get it. As long as it's available, I'll find a way to get it. Night Sorrow said. This is what Auntie Faye found after she was injured. It's recorded in an ancient body cultivator's handbook. It's definitely available, but it's very difficult to obtain. That senior only managed to obtain one. Wu Lingfei said. Then I'll prepare and set off. Night Sorrow said. You have to be steady. Steadiness is also a result of settling down and also a sign of maturity. Wu Lingfei said to Night Sorrow. Chapter TG New Chapter, Section Z. Night Sorrow understands. I'm just too excited. This problem has always been on my mind. If I can solve this problem, then I'll only need to cultivate in the future and not think about anything else. Night Sorrow clenched his fist and said. I won't stimulate you anymore. Prepare and set off. Also be careful. The blood spirit tortoise is not to be trifled with. It's very strong, but its weakness is its slow speed. The other threat is the snow doves. They're a group of demon beasts. Wu Lingfei said. Don't worry, Auntie Faye. Night Sorrow nodded. I'm not worried about you. Also, if your life is in danger, just activate the Void Dao Stone Orb. My doppelganger will be able to cultivate to large success. When you reach the Ice Plain Sea, my doppelganger will be more or less finished cultivating. Wu Lingfei warned Night Sorrow. I understand. Then I'll set off tonight. Night Sorrow said. Wu Lingfei nodded and didn't say anything else. She'd already warned him. After chatting with Yang Lei and Xikong Chuyu for a while and informing the Blood Strike Guards in Ho Jian, Night Sorrow rode on Tianyu and set off with Silver Fox. Tianyu's speed was extremely fast. In a few hours they arrived at Nebula Sect's Nebula City. Night Sorrow took the teleportation array to the Thunder Rumbling Sect. The Thunder Rumbling Sect was the closest to the eastern ice plains. Night Sorrow wore a mask, so the people from the Thunder Rumbling Sect didn't even ask. After leaving the Thunder Rumbling City, Night Sorrow flew towards the eastern ice plains. Even from the Thunder Rumbling Sect to the eastern ice plains, there was still a distance of hundreds of thousands of miles. Tianyu flew rapidly every day. Night Sorrow cultivated on Tianyu's back. Night Sorrow noticed that Silver Fox's cultivation was increasing very quickly. Its speed of absorbing energy was very fast. Night Sorrow could almost feel the energy of heaven and earth converging on its body. Night Sorrow's cultivation was also increasing very quickly. Now he was cultivating without any distractions. He was even faster than when he was camping at Broken Cloud Mountain. After all, there were still some things to take care of at the campsite. Chapter 463. Genius 1 second. Remember Love Go/Little? We provide you with wonderful novels to read. The Nine-Tailed Fox was a top-tier beast in ancient times. It was also in the top 10 of the beast ranking. It was on the same level as the Green Roc, Black Luan, Golden Dragon, and Blood Kirin. This was also the reason why Night Sorrow didn't dare to expose the Silver Fox in front of others. It was too shocking and would cause conflict. The Nine-Tailed Fox's bloodline was very noble. Its blood was an extremely precious material that could change a cultivator's physique. If word got out, who knew how many people would covet it? The Silver Fox had 5 tails. 4 were big and 1 was small at the bottom. However, its size was still the same. It didn't grow, but its combat strength had increased a lot. The Silver Fox's 4 sharp claws and tails were fierce weapons. Ordinary level 4 monsters couldn't even touch its shadow before they were killed. However, Night Sorrow still didn't know what attribute this Silver Fox had. After 20 days, Night Sorrow arrived at the Eastern Icefield. When he arrived at the Eastern Icefield, Night Sorrow had a familiar feeling. He had been here twice and each time it was different. After thinking for a while, Night Sorrow didn't get off his mount. He directly flew. He felt that there was no need to run on the ice. 1 piece of Ice Spirit Blood Essence was enough. There was no need to specifically look for it. When he went to the East Snow Mountain to look for the Shen Turtle Crystal, he could do it on the way. At the same time, Night Sorrow also knew the importance of resources. If he had the support of the Ice Spirit Blood Essence, he would have reached the peak of the Consolidation Realm. However, there was still a long way to go. After spending a day and a half, Night Sorrow arrived at the East Snow Mountain. Standing on Tianyu's back and looking at the East Snow Mountain, Night Sorrow felt a little emotional. The Wu Lingfei he met here had also changed his own path here. Without stopping, Night Sorrow rode Tianyu and continued to fly east. After flying for a few hundred miles, Night Sorrow's body flashed and landed on the ice. This was the area that Wu Lingfei had mentioned. In other words, there was a Xian turtle crystal here. After landing on the ice, Night Sorrow started to circulate the myriad Tao Tome at full speed. He was still trying to attract the Ice Spirit's blood essence to erupt. More accurately, he was trying to attract the Black Tortoise's spiritual body to erupt. At this moment, Night Sorrow was circulating the myriad Daos Tome at full power. The essence chi above his head had already reached a height of more than 10 meters. After Night Sorrow activated the myriad Dao Tome, he ran on the ice. After running for tens of miles, an explosive sound came from the ice surface. An ice well appeared. Then, a blood-red crystal appeared in the well. In the past, Night Sorrow had to be very careful when collecting them. Now he didn't have to. He stretched out his arm and shot out a beam of energy, shaking the ice origin well. Then he reached out and grabbed the Ice Spirit Blood Essence. Love go little sake Night Sorrow exhaled. The Ice Spirit Blood Essence could no longer satisfy his needs. What he needed were the Spirit Turtle Crystals, and in large quantities at that. After all, those were the resources to support his Dao Querying Realm cultivation in the myriad Dao Treasured Tome. Going from the Dao Querying Realm to the Spirit Refinement Realm required a large amount of resources. Then Night Sorrow continued to move forward. 4 hours later, Night Sorrow felt a tremor beneath his feet. The tremor was getting stronger and stronger. Then there was a rumbling sound. After Night Sorrow left his original spot, he realized that the rumbling sound was following him. Then there was an explosion behind him. The ice surface exploded and a water column shot up into the sky. In the water column, there was a white light that rushed towards Night Sorrow. Not knowing what was going on, Night Sorrow activated his protective shield and retreated quickly. Night Sorrow retreated quickly. The white light chased after him. However, at this moment Night Sorrow could see clearly what the white light was. It was a white crystal that contained extremely dense energy. It was the energy of blood. After stopping, Night Sorrow waved his arm and grabbed the crystal in his hand. Mystic Tortoise Crystal. After grabbing the crystal that was the size of a human head, Night Sorrow confirmed what it was. It was the Mystic Tortoise Crystal that he needed. Night Sorrow reached out and rubbed the Mystic Tortoise Crystal. Then he put it in his ring and continued moving forward. Night Sorrow felt that finding the Mystic Tortoise Crystal was more convenient than finding the Ice Spirit Blood Essence. This thing resonated more strongly with his blood. However, it was deeper in the sea, so it would take a longer time to trigger. Night Sorrow activated the myriad Tao Tome at full speed and continued running. However, while running, Night Sorrow swallowed the spiritual origin liquid and held the Ice Spirit Blood Essence in his hand. He cultivated as he ran. Half a day later, another Mystic Tortoise Crystal was in Night Sorrow's hand. Night Sorrow was very satisfied with this speed. Originally, he was worried that this thing would not be easy to find and would take a long time. However, according to this speed, it would not be too difficult. In the evening, Night Sorrow was also attacked. It was the most common flying demonic beast in the eastern icefield, snow doves. Moreover, they were flying demonic beasts that lived in groups. However, this group of snow doves was of a low level. The strongest was only rank 4. This group of snow doves did not pose a threat to him. This was due to Tianyu's strength. Every time Tianyu attacked, he would take the life of a snow dove. Rank 4 snow doves could not resist at all in front of the rank 5 Tianyu. After a dozen or so of them were killed, the snow doves retreated. They were suppressed by Tianyu in terms of talent and cultivation, so they did not have the ability to fight. Night Sorrow was not interested in participating in this kind of battle. He continued to run and search for the Mystic Tortoise Crystal. His days were very stable. Night Sorrow ran every day. In any case, it did not affect his cultivation. Tianyu followed behind Night Sorrow in the sky. Silver Fox was more comfortable than Night Sorrow and Tianyu. It ran behind Night Sorrow. When it was tired, it would ask Tianyu to lower its flying altitude. It would then jump on Tianyu's back to rest. When it had rested enough, it would run behind Night Sorrow. In the blink of an eye, Night Sorrow had stayed in this area for more than 20 days. He collected some Ice Spirit Blood Essences, a dozen mystic tortoise crystals and 2 blood spirit tortoise crystals. Night Sorrow was not satisfied with such a harvest. He did not want to let go of the opportunity to obtain cultivation resources in the future. He wanted to get more. This way he would not have to worry about the future and would not need to come here again. Night Sorrow, who had made up his mind, continued to run back and forth in this area. These 20 days of cultivation had allowed his myriad Tao treasured tome to reach the peak of the 9th level of the consolidation realm. He would enter the Tao querying realm with one more step. Night Sorrow was not in a hurry to level up the myriad Tao treasured tome. He consolidated the cultivation of the myriad Tao treasured tome while cultivating his soul power and chi. As time passed, Night Sorrow's harvest increased. He estimated that he had enough cultivation resources for the Tao querying realm. However, he only had 6 blood spirit tortoise crystals. It was still a little short of the number he wanted. Although he did not know how many resources were needed to reach the golden body realm from the spirit refinement realm, Night Sorrow knew that it would not be a small amount. After calculating the time, Night Sorrow had been out of the eastern Shen domain's Broken Cloud Mountain for more than 2 months. It was almost 3 months. After thinking for a while, Night Sorrow felt that he should stay for a while longer. After all, Wu Lingfei was there. There would not be any problems. Above, Night Sorrow ran as he pondered. At this moment, the ground beneath Night Sorrow's feet shook violently. It was much stronger than before. It was almost incomparable. Yishang's expression changed slightly as he continued to run forward. Chapter 464. A Genius Remembers Love in 1 Second? We provide you with wonderful novels to read. At this moment, Night Sorrow's heart trembled. The thing in the sky was a tortoise. It was a gigantic blood-red tortoise. Its huge body covered half of the sky. Its body was 60 to 70 feet in diameter, and its eyes were much bigger than millstones. There was even a single horn on its head. While observing this massive creature, Night Sorrow waved his arm and put the blood spirit turtle crystal that was charging at him into his storage ring. After collecting the blood spirit turtle crystal, Night Sorrow was also confined by space. Night Sorrow didn't hesitate to use spatial Ren to cut open the spatial shackles. Then with a flash he fled. "Young man, don't be impatient." A booming voice rang out. "Senior." Hearing this voice, Night Sorrow, who had already run thousands of feet away, gave up the idea of running away. He turned around and greeted. The giant blood-red tortoise was still behind him, and the distance between them was still the same. Furthermore, he could feel that the giant tortoise had no intention of continuing its attack. This was also the main reason why he did not run. "It was your chi and blood that caused me to wake up from my long slumber. I came out to see you because I hope that you know when to stop and don't disturb the sleep of my Shen Turtle clan. You stimulated your chi and blood power to run, which made my clansmen unable to cultivate." The rumbling voice rang out again. "I'm sorry, I didn't mean it. I just wanted to get some resources," Night Sorrow said. "I understand, that's why I gave you the resources you needed just now. Please don't run in this area anymore," the giant blood-colored spirit turtle said. "Thank you for your understanding and thank you for your generosity." Night Sorrow bowed and cupped his hands. "Go." The gigantic blood-colored spirit turtle's body descended, directly crushing the incomparably hard ice surface before diving into the ice-plain sea. Night Sorrow waved at Tianyu as he watched the water of the ice-field sea surge violently before being frozen by the cold air. Then he climbed onto Tianyu's back and flew out of the eastern ice field. Night Sorrow was glad that the Blood Spirit Turtle King had a good temperament. If she had a violent temperament, why would she talk nonsense with him? Night Sorrow could break through the spatial shackles, but how many times could he break through? Night Sorrow sensed that the Blood Spirit Turtle Monarch's space bind was much stronger than the space bind of the supremacies he had encountered before. Letting out a breath, Night Sorrow sat cross-legged on Tianyu's back and began to organize his harvest. He had gotten more than 20 Shen Turtle crystals, and even more Blood Spirit Turtle crystals, 25 or 26 of them. The biggest source was the last batch that the Blood Spirit Turtle King had brought out, and there were 17 of them. Love Gong Little Say, Night Sorrow turned around and bowed towards the direction where the Blood Spirit Turtle King had appeared. He let out a long howl and rushed towards Thunder Rolling Mountain. Sitting on Tianyu's back, Night Sorrow began to cultivate. His cultivation of the Myriad Tao Tome had reached the peak of the consolidation realm, and he could break through at any time. Night Sorrow planned to leave the eastern ice field and find a place to break through. Tianyu's current speed could not be compared to before. Even if he did not use void travel, he could still cover a large distance with a flap of his wings. The resistance of space and wind was very small for Chanyu because he had both attributes. Only unspecified currency A proper S #version M, his H** are all and pirated versions. Silver Fox lay down next to Night Sorrow and slept. It was cultivating when it slept, and the spiritual energy of heaven and earth gathered towards it. After 2 days, Night Sorrow left the eastern ice field and entered the deep wilderness. After finding a safe place and letting Chanyu and Silver Fox be on guard, Night Sorrow began to break through the myriad Tao Tome. If he did not break through, he would not be able to improve his cultivation. Night Sorrow did not want to waste time. Time was life. The cultivation of a cultivator was to go against the heavens and fight for their lives. Every cultivator's lifespan was limited. Love go go shao shua 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 w. Ai chu x. The essence gathering realm had a lifespan of around 130 years. The core condensation realm had a lifespan of around 200 years. The severed divinity realm had a lifespan of 300 years. The void inquiry stage had a lifespan of 500 years. The 6th grade vast heaven realm had a lifespan of 800 years. Of course, this was referring to ordinary cultivators. If their bodies were strong and their chi and blood were vigorous, their lifespan would be longer. In addition, demonic beasts would also exceed this range. It was normal for demonic beasts with extraordinary innate talent to live for several thousand years. If their cultivation base was high, their lifespan would be even longer. After calming down, Night Sorrow began to break through. He wanted to strengthen the heart, the last part of his internal organs. This stage was nothing much because the consolidation realm was just a buffer stage in the myriad Tao Tome. After spending a night, Night Sorrow completed the strengthening of his entire body. The strengthening of his internal organs was also the last part of the strengthening stage. After completing the advancement, Night Sorrow began to stabilize his cultivation base. At this moment he felt that his entire body was filled with strength. His body was filled with surging energy. After stabilizing his cultivation base for a while, Night Sorrow stopped cultivating and called for Chanyu. Together with Chanyu he landed on Chanyu's back. Night Sorrow wanted to stabilize his cultivation base as he traveled. At the same time he would cultivate his true chi and soul power. As for the innate talent of his bloodline, Night Sorrow was currently letting it strengthen on its own. If he used too many external resources, it would be the same as a true chi cultivator who used too many resources. The degree of control over his energy would be low. While flying and cultivating, Night Sorrow arrived at the Thunder Rumbling sect's Thunder Rumbling City very quickly. Because flying demonic beasts were prohibited in the Thunder Rumbling City, Night Sorrow sat on a beast carriage and arrived at the teleportation formation. Night Sorrow was wearing the Heaven's Fate mask, so the guards of the Thunder Rumbling sect didn't question him. After paying the spirit stones, Night Sorrow directly teleported to the Nebula sect. After exiting the Nebula sect's teleportation formation, Night Sorrow rode on Chanyu and flew towards Broken Cloud Mountain. At this moment, the defensive line of Broken Cloud Mountain was peaceful. Wu Lingfei stood in front of the defensive line and looked at the spatial passage of the Domain Sea. My lord, the situation is very stable now. However, we don't know when the second wave of attacks will erupt. Still a headache. Lei Hua, who was standing behind Wu Lingfei, said, "That's right, Lord Wu Quebec. If we don't deal with this disgusting spatial passageway, the danger will always exist. It's not a good idea for us to keep guarding it." Lan Yuxuan spoke. During this period of time, she hadn't left the eastern Xian region because of some matters. Don't worry. This problem will be resolved in a few days. There's nothing to worry about. Wu Lingfei said. Lord Wu Kei, can it be resolved just like that? Ho Yuan asked in surprise. It can be resolved. Night Sorrow is on his way back. Once he's back, I'll enter the spatial passage with him and kill all the high-level dark creatures inside. The danger will naturally be resolved. Wu Lingfei closed her eyes and thought for a moment before speaking. The others didn't ask further. If Wu Lingfei said that there was a way, then there was definitely a way. Furthermore, if Wu Lingfei didn't want to talk about it, then there was no point in asking. Night Sorrow flew rapidly. Silver Fox was still cultivating by his feet. It was already at the 3rd rank of the 4th rank, so its cultivation was increasing very quickly. In the evening, Night Sorrow returned to the encampment of Broken Cloud Mountain. Seeing Night Sorrow return, Ho Jian and the others, as well as the Bloodstrike guards, let out a few angry roars. They weren't used to Night Sorrow not being around. Later. Brothers, let's drink together. Night Sorrow waved to Ho Jian and the others before returning to the tent. Did it go smoothly? Yang Lei, who followed Night Sorrow into the tent, asked. I got all the resources. It went very smoothly. However, I encountered a huge monster, but it didn't make things difficult for me. Night Sorrow said. Chapter 465. A Genius Remembers Love in 1 Second? We provide you with wonderful novels to read. It's the Blood Spirit Turtle King. It has a good temper. If it wants to kill me, then I won't be able to resist at all, and can only activate the Void Dao Stone Orb you gave me, Aunt Fei. Night Sorrow explained the situation of meeting the Blood Spirit Turtle King in detail. If it has a horn, then it must be the Blood Spirit Turtle King with the bloodline of the Dragon Turtle. If it can tolerate you, then it must have achieved a lot in terms of mental cultivation, Wu Lingfei said. Auntie Fei, it can speak and use spatial imprisonment. It's clearly a venerable realm demonic beast. Why didn't it choose to transform? Xikong Qiu asked in confusion. Different choices. Some demonic beasts want to enter the world, so they need to transform. Some choose to live in seclusion, so they don't care about these things, Wu Lingfei explained. Translator, Atlas Studios Editor. Atlas Studios 13, you sure are lucky to have encountered such a terrifying honorable realm demonic beast. Not only was there no danger, it even gave you resources. There's nothing much to say about that, Yang Lei said as she looked at Night Sorrow. I don't know why, but it really scared me. Thinking back to the scene, Night Sorrow still felt a little scared. Heaven is vigorous, and a gentleman will constantly strive to improve himself. This refers to one's own efforts. A gentleman is virtuous. Virtuous is the behavior of the Blood Spirit Turtle King. This is very good. After all, killing for no reason goes against the harmony of heaven. Wu Lingfei opened her mouth and said. That's right, Wu Lingfei said. Auntie Fei, did we kill a lot of dark creatures? Night Sorrow asked. That's not the same. We're killing the creatures of darkness for the Eastern Shen region. We'll only receive the blessings of heaven and earth. It has nothing to do with harming Daymeld. Even if we're injured, we'll be harming Daymeld of the space of death. That's not worth our attention. Wu Lingfei explained to Night Sorrow. Then let's continue, Night Sorrow said with a wave of his hand. Wu Lingfei looked at Night Sorrow and said, You killed some. Rest for 2 days and then we'll head out. Depart? Where are we going? Night Sorrow asked Wu Lingfei. Death space. Let's go to the death space and get rid of the threat completely, Wu Lingfei said. Auntie Fei, did you break through? Night Sorrow looked at Wu Lingfei and asked. No, but my clone has already cultivated to the large success stage. After you rest well, take the Void Dao Stone Orb and enter the spatial tunnel. Then Aunt Fei's clone will go in and start killing. You go in and pack up the resources. Wu Lingfei said. Congratulations, Aunt Fei. Night Sorrow bowed to Wu Lingfei. Hee, but this doppelganger can no longer protect you. After the doppelganger comes out of the Void Dao Stone, the Void Dao Stone will crack. Can probably hide once more, but there is still the Dark Island to deal with. Wu Lingfei said. Auntie Fei, I have 2 spirit artifacts on me. It's enough. Night Sorrow said with a smile. We'll talk about it later. You should rest first. Wu Lingfei left the tent. Now that we've got the resources, we've solved a big problem. At the very least, you don't have to worry about resources for your cultivation before you reach rank 6, Xikong Qiu said. The Mystic Tortoise Crystal is just right for me at the 5th rank. Its effect is very strong and I can absorb it very quickly. As for after the 6th rank, I don't know if the Blood Spirit Tortoise Crystal is suitable for me, but even if there is a mistake, it won't be too far off. Baidu search Love Gong Xiao Shua www.ichuxs.com, Night Sorrow said. That's good. You should rest for a bit, then follow Auntie Fei to the death space, Xikong Qiu said as he brewed tea. Okay, actually I'm not tired, Night Sorrow said with a smile. Your body's cultivation has improved again? Yang Lei asked. Yes. Right now my body's strength is around 40,000 Jin. It's still a bit away from 50,000 Jin. Night Sorrow stretched his waist, then a cracking sound was heard. Your body's strength can directly crush a rank 4 cultivator. You're a human-shaped vicious beast, Yang Lei said. I'm normal, right? I'm a bit weaker than the average person, Night Sorrow said as he looked at his body. But your body contains the energy of a vicious beast, Xikong Qiu said. Okay. You're right, Night Sorrow said with a smile. Actually, this is a good thing because your descendants' talent will also be very high in the future. Saying this, Xikong Qiu's face became flushed red. What do you mean? Night Sorrow put down the teacup in his hand. Inheritance. Why are there so many talents in big families? It's because their ancestors were all accomplished cultivators. The higher their achievements, the stronger their inherited genes. It's like dragons giving birth to dragons and phoenixes giving birth to phoenixes. Do you understand this principle? Sikong Chuyu explained to Night Sorrow again. Does that mean that the higher the parent's achievements, the stronger the child's talent? Night Sorrow looked at Sikong Chuyu and asked. That's for sure. Of course, the final achievement still depends on the individual's efforts, opportunities and other factors, Sikong Chuyu said. I understand. Then I'll work hard to cultivate and work hard for the future of my children, Night Sorrow said after thinking for a while. Looks like we'll all have to work hard, Yang Lei said. In terms of erudition, Yang Lei wasn't as knowledgeable as Sikong Chuyu. After all, Sikong Chuyu came from a big family and had read a lot of ancient books, so he was more knowledgeable. Night Sorrow then left the tent. Ho Jian, the Bloodstrike guards, and the others had already roasted the game and were waiting for Night Sorrow's group. Night Sorrow took out some wine and distributed it to everyone. Then they drank and chatted. Ho Jian and the others asked Night Sorrow about the journey. When Night Sorrow mentioned the Blood Spirit Turtle Monarch, everyone was shocked and worried for Night Sorrow. After drinking a jar of wine, Sikong Chuyu didn't let Night Sorrow drink anymore. Ho Jian and the others didn't force him either. After drinking to their heart's content, Night Sorrow returned to the tent to rest. Yang Lei and Sikong Chuyu didn't let Night Sorrow cultivate. Instead, they made a bed for Night Sorrow and let Night Sorrow rest. Night Sorrow enjoyed this feeling very much. He slept very soundly that night. When he slept well, he woke up early. Night Sorrow woke up early to cultivate his spear arts. Not to mention how much Night Sorrow's cultivation of the myriad Dao treasured cannon had increased, but the increase in his physical strength had also increased the power of his spear arts by a lot. Night Sorrow cultivated while Wu Lingfei watched from the side. After cultivating for a while, Night Sorrow put away his spear and asked Wu Lingfei, Auntie Fei, take a look at my spear arts. Is there anything I need to improve? Very good, very perfect. With your current cultivation, being able to perform the spear arts to this level is already impeccable, Wu Lingfei said with a nod. Because my explosive power isn't enough. The 7-star Brilliant Moon Spear art can only combine 7 spears into one after my cultivation increases, Night Sorrow said. How is your bloodline talent now? Wu Lingfei asked. I've already activated 4 bloodline talents. I'm now activating the 5th, Night Sorrow said after sensing his body. Chapter 466. A Genius Remembers Love in 1 Second? We provide you with wonderful novels to read. I haven't been using space crystals recently. I've been cultivating on my own. The main reason is that I don't want to absorb too much external energy and reduce the controllability of my bloodline talent, Night Sorrow said. You're right to think that way. You don't have to worry about that. The space crack of the Night Moon Dynasty can only be used by venerables. It requires the energy to cut open space, and it also requires venerables to comprehend the oneness of man and nature. Just treat it as an attack, said Wu Lingfei. I understand, Night Sorrow said. Following this, Night Sorrow and Wu Lingfei went to Wu Lingfei's tent to drink tea. You've improved well in all aspects, especially your soul power. What kind of treasure do you have in your spirit sea that could injure the lightning fire? What can you tell me about it? Wu Lingfei asked after thinking for a moment. There's nothing I can't tell Auntie Fei. The origin of the Void Fiendish Space, which is the Void Fate Pearl, was originally in my Dantian. The last time I went to the Realm Sea and was attacked by the laws, the Void Fate Pearl entered my Divine Sea, said Night Sorrow. The Nihility Source energy has entered your body, which means that it doesn't reject you and can protect your Divine Sense Sea. This means that it has already acknowledged you. As long as you can refine it, that Nihility space will become your territory. Love Gone Little Say Wu Lingfei said excitedly. I can't control it yet and I don't know when I'll be able to refine it, Night Sorrow said. What's there to be anxious about? With a treasure on hand, it's never too late to refine it. This is a great opportunity. When you completely refine it, you'll have a world as your foundation. What kind of concept is that? It's really indescribable. Wu Lingfei was very excited. I understand. I'll cherish it. Night Sorrow nodded. You can continue to relax. After that, we will set off. First, we will go to the spatial tunnel of Waterfront City. After we are done here, Auntie Fei will go to the Black Island. You don't need to go there. The main thing is that you can't enter. Wu Lingfei said. Night Sorrow nodded and left Wu Lingfei's tent. After resting for 2 days, Night Sorrow and Wu Lingfei set off. Before they left, they greeted Yang Lei, Xikong Chuyu and Lei Hua. Without letting anyone else follow, Wu Lingfei brought Night Sorrow directly to the spatial tunnel entrance. Aunt Fei can't go in. After you activate the Golden Phoenix soft armor, use the Void True Qi to create a protective barrier. After you enter, directly activate the Void Dao Stone. Wu Lingfei instructed Night Sorrow. I understand, Night Sorrow said. From the moment you go in until Auntie Fei's clone appears, you will be in the most danger. Wu Lingfei looked at Night Sorrow and said, I'll do my best to defend myself, Night Sorrow said. Good. Take the Void Dao Stone in your hand and go in. Wu Lingfei said to Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow nodded. The Myriad Dao Treasured Tome's energy activated the Golden Phoenix soft armor. Then he activated the True Qi in his Dantian, creating a void attribute protective barrier and rushing towards the spatial tunnel. Pressure. A huge pressure rushed towards Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow exerted strength in his feet and rushed into the depths of the spatial tunnel. The protective barrier was deformed from the pressure. Night Sorrow quickly circulated his True Qi, forcefully preventing the protective barrier from being broken. He walked step by step into the spatial tunnel. This was similar to a battle. It wasn't much lighter than a venerable's bind. The energy waves constantly roared towards Night Sorrow, but they were all blocked by the void attribute protective barrier. Love, Gone Little, Say, W. Chu. After rushing for a while, the space in front of Night Sorrow suddenly opened up. However, Night Sorrow's scalp went numb. Not far in front of him, there were a few dark spirit corpses sitting cross-legged. Behind them, there was a dense group of dark creatures. The moment the dark spirit corpses stood up to attack, Night Sorrow activated the Void Dao Stone Pearl. Following Night Sorrow's activation, the Void Dao Stone shook and cracks appeared. The energy gathered and Wu Lingfei appeared. It should be said that Wu Lingfei's clone had appeared. After appearing, Wu Lingfei waved her left hand and a protective barrier appeared, covering herself and Night Sorrow. Then she flew towards the dark spirit corpses to attack. This time Wu Lingfei was even more ferocious than before. An energy sword appeared in her right hand. Her left hand was frozen while her right hand attacked with the sword. The 2 dark spirit corpses were killed by Wu Lingfei before they could display any strength. Wu Lingfei wrapped Night Sorrow in her energy. She used her left hand to freeze the 2 escaping dark spirit corpses and then chased after the other one. After catching up, Wu Lingfei used Ice Seal and Sword Qi Slash to kill them. At this time, the other 2 dark spirit corpses had already run away. Wu Lingfei did not continue to chase after the venerable dark spirit corpses. Instead, she began to crush the dark creatures. Wu Lingfei killed the dark creatures like harvesting wheat. After using Ice Seal on her left hand, she used her palm to shatter it. Her right hand continuously slashed with Sword Qi Slash. Aunt Fei, let's go deal with the venerables first. Night Sorrow had been wrapped in Wu Lingfei's energy. Seeing the 2 dark spirit corpses run away, he was a bit anxious. Because killing the dark spirit corpses was the key to solving the problem. When the 2 dark spirit corpses were frozen, Aunt Fei injected profound jade spirit qi into their bodies. It's not difficult to find them. But these peak rank 5 dark creatures can easily enter the venerable realm. So we have to kill them first. If they run away, it'll be troublesome to chase after them. Wu Lingfei said as she slaughtered the dark creatures. I understand. My knowledge is low. Night Sorrow said. It's not that your knowledge is low. In a situation where you can't find the dark spirit corpses, killing them first is not wrong. It's just that Aunt Fei has a backup plan. You go kill them too. Let's kill to our heart's content. Wu Lingfei threw Night Sorrow beside her. Night Sorrow waved his reincarnation spear and joined the ranks of the battle. He didn't feel any pressure because the late rank 5 dark creatures were all under Wu Lingfei's attack. 1 person in the sky, 1 on the ground. Night Sorrow and Wu Lingfei crushed forward. After an hour, the battle ended. This area was filled with corpses. To the dark creatures, this was equivalent to a battle of destruction. Night Sorrow didn't need to say anything. Wu Lingfei's attack was too strong and too fast. She chose to kill the dark creatures with high cultivation. As long as the dark creatures tried to escape her attack range, she would take care of them first. Some of the dark creatures that ran away were the ones with low cultivation. Wu Lingfei said to Yishan, since we've killed all of them at the 5th step, it'll be impossible for the dark creatures here to reach the Exalt realm in a short period of time. Let's go find the 2 dark spirit corpses that ran away first, then slowly investigate. Number 7 start, okay. I only came in to cheer for Aunt Fei. I can't do anything else. Night Sorrow said. Chapter 467. Genius 1 second remember love go divided by small? I will provide you with wonderful novels to read. Aunt Fei, is there any difference between your avatar and your original body? Is it the same as your thoughts? Night Sorrow asked as he looked at Wu Lingfei's avatar. Yes, this is an avatar nurtured by the power of the soul. Although the flesh and blood on its body is condensed from the energy of the Void Dao Stone and is slightly different from the original body, its thoughts are the same. I am your Aunt Fei. Wu Lingfei's avatar said. Then I understand. Night Sorrow nodded. He had always been a little worried that this Wu Lingfei's avatar would be emotionless. Let's go chase after those 2 dark spirit corpses. Wu Lingfei said. Aunt Fei, you rest for a while. I'll use my mount. Night Sorrow released Tianyu. That's fine too. After Aunt Fei becomes a venerable, her mount will be released. Wu Lingfei also came to Tianyu's back. Then, under Wu Lingfei's command, Night Sorrow rode Tianyu and chased after one of the dark spirit corpses. Night Sorrow took out the Void Dao Stone that contained Wu Lingfei's avatar and looked at it. Aunt Fei, this Void Dao Stone is broken. This is indeed an unexpected situation and a miscalculation. If this space is not the same as the Dark Island, then it will be more troublesome. Love go, small say W, Chu Wu Lingfei said. Aunt Fei, I still have a Void Dao Stone here. Take it and use it. Night Sorrow said. You can't use it. Even if it's not the same space, you can wait until Aunt Fei breaks through. You have to keep the Void Dao Stone. It's the best medium to condense avatars. It's very important to you. You can't use it to mess around. Wu Lingfei looked at Night Sorrow and said. But the situation over there is very serious. Night Sorrow was a little worried. He was worried that if that guy grew up, he would not be able to control it in the end. Don't worry, it will definitely enter the Sage Realm later than Aunt Fei. At that time we will be able to take care of it. Wu Lingfei said to Night Sorrow. Then I'm relieved. Night Sorrow nodded. Keep the Void Daoist Stone. Once you enter the Sovereign Realm, Aunt Fei will teach you how to cultivate a clone. Wu Lingfei said to Night Sorrow. Thank you, Aunt Fei. Night Sorrow said. Then let's continue forward. That dark spiritual corpse is about 500 kilometers ahead. After killing it, we'll go deal with the other one. Wu Lingfei said to Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow steered Tianyu in the direction that Wu Lingfei had pointed out. After advancing for an hour, they weren't far from where Wu Lingfei was. Wu Lingfei stood up and said, You still want to run? Night Sorrow, follow me. After saying that, Wu Lingfei's body flashed and disappeared from Night Sorrow's sight. Night Sorrow wasn't in a hurry. He steered Tianyu in the direction that Wu Lingfei had disappeared. After half a cup of tea's time, Night Sorrow saw Wu Lingfei. Not far from her was the corpse of the dark spiritual corpse. This guy still wants to run? Can he run? Wu Lingfei snorted. Her body flashed and landed on Tianyu's back. Over there. Let's chase in that direction. The guy running there doesn't have a high cultivation, but he should be the strongest. We didn't kill him at first because we didn't want to waste time. Okay, let's chase in that direction. Night Sorrow nodded. After killing it, Aunt Fei will go with you to find resources. We can't come here for nothing. Wu Lingfei said to Night Sorrow. Don't worry about that, Auntie Fei. To tell you the truth, I don't lack cultivation resources right now. The Xian Turtle Crystal and Blood Spirit Turtle Crystal I obtained from this trip to the Sea of Ice Plains are enough for me to reach the 7th Order, let alone the 6th Order, Night Sorrow said to Wu Lingfei. His body has reached the 7th Order? You can? Wu Lingfei looked at Night Sorrow in surprise. I can do it. I've obtained a body tempering technique before. It's recorded in it, Night Sorrow said. That's not bad. The soul and the body are the 2 most important things for a cultivator. It's good that you have such an opportunity. Wu Lingfei patted Night Sorrow's shoulder. Aunt Fei, do you want to take a look? Night Sorrow looked at Wu Lingfei and asked. He didn't want to cause any misunderstandings between him and Wu Lingfei. He also sincerely hoped that Wu Lingfei could become stronger because if she was strong, the Eastern Shen region would be strong. Plus update SOJ under previous no need. Auntie Fei cultivates her body, but we walk on a completely different path. Auntie Fei's profound ice body is strengthened by Jin Qi, but you walk the path of Qi and blood. It's completely different. Wu Lingfei said. Night Sorrow understands. Night Sorrow nodded. Being kind and benevolent is a virtue, but it is also a weakness for cultivators. Now Auntie Fei will force you once. Swear an oath that you will not casually tell others about the heavenly fate pearl and the body tempering technique. Wu Lingfei looked at Night Sorrow and said, Aunt Fei is not an outsider. Night Sorrow looked at Wu Lingfei and said, hurry up and swear. These two things will cause a lot of trouble. Revealing them won't do you any good. In the future, other people will appear by your side. You may know a person for a long time but you don't know their true nature. That's why Auntie Fei has to swear an oath to you. Wu Lingfei told him the reason she wanted Night Sorrow to swear an oath. Looking at Wu Lingfei's serious face, Night Sorrow raised his hand and swore an oath. And Auntie Fei is relieved now. You are too naive and this is a dog-eat-dog world. With an oath, you won't feel guilty if you don't tell anyone next to you. Wu Lingfei said. Thank you Auntie Fei for thinking about me. Night Sorrow was very grateful to Wu Lingfei for thinking about him. There are some things that you can't take for granted. Brothers turn against each other and beauties become enemies. That's why Auntie Fei put a shackle on you. Wu Lingfei said to Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow took out a jug of wine and handed it to Wu Lingfei. He took out a jug of wine for himself. Relax. Since we are here, the problem can be solved. This small space's laws are not complete. It only contains a strong death chi. The possibility of producing a saint is too low. Wu Lingfei said. With such a strong death chi, wouldn't it be easier to produce a saint with the death attribute? Night Sorrow asked, puzzled. There aren't many ways to become a saint. One is to obtain source stones and the other is to obtain saint crystals. Since the laws here are not complete, it is very difficult to obtain source stones, let alone saint crystals. The possibility is even lower, so saints are not so easy to produce, Wu Lingfei said. Saint crystals. Saint crystals are one of the ways to become a saint. Isn't the battle between saints very cruel? Hearing Wu Lingfei's words, Night Sorrow was shocked. That's right. That's why cultivators or monster beasts who become saints generally choose to live in seclusion for fear of being killed, Wu Lingfei said. In other words, cultivators who have just entered the saint realm are just materials in the eyes of powerful saints? Night Sorrow was a little flustered. Chapter 468. Genius remembers love in 1 second/small? We provide you with wonderful novels to read. Then Auntie Fei must hide after entering the saint realm, Night Sorrow said worriedly. Auntie Fei is very happy that you are worried about me, but Auntie Fei has already considered this point. This is also something all cultivators who enter the saint realm need to consider. Auntie Fei does not intend to break through with the water attribute. Instead, I have been studying how to break through with the life attribute. Once I break through with the high attribute, my combat strength will be much stronger. At that time it will be hard to say who will kill who. Wu Lingfei said. Night Sorrow nodded. He knew the cruelty of the world. Saints no longer needed saint crystals, but the people around them and their descendants may need them. Therefore, killing people for saint crystals was very likely to happen. Don't worry about this. It's hard to say if there are any saints, but if there are, they won't come out. There's no need to worry. Wu Lingfei said. It seems I was thinking too much. Night Sorrow nodded. Yes, how many years has it been? I haven't heard of any saints. There are frequent realm wars but no saints have been seen. Wu Lingfei said. The two sat on the Chanyu and followed Wu Lingfei's guidance to chase the escaping dark spirit corpse. At this time in the human cultivator camp of Broken Cloud Mountain, in Night Sorrow's tent, Wu Lingfei's main body Yang Lei and Sikong Chuyu were drinking tea and chatting. Don't worry, most of the dark spirit corpses have been killed. We are now chasing the last one. After killing it we will explore this space. Wu Lingfei said after taking a sip of tea. I hope it is the same space as the Dark Island Space Channel. That way Auntie Fei can solve it in one go. Yang Lei said. We need to investigate before we can make a conclusion. Yishang has been to the space of the Dark Island. If there is a familiar scene, Yishang will recognize it. If there isn't, then it's not a space. But it doesn't matter, it's not a big deal, said Wu Lingfei. Night Sorrow and Wu Lingfei's doppelganger chased after the escaping dark spirit corpses. Along the way, Wu Lingfei's doppelganger would kill any higher-level demonic beasts that showed signs of rising up, not giving them a chance to grow. That escaping dark spirit corpse has been moving all this time, it has never stopped. Not only is this guy strong, but he's also very cunning. He knows that we'll definitely chase after him, so he didn't stop. He's probably looking for a safe place to stay, Wu Lingfei said. As long as Aunt Faye's profound jade spiritual chi is in its body, it will not be able to escape. Night Sorrow said. You can't say that. After all, the death attribute is a high-level attribute. If it is given enough time, it might be able to refine it. But if it keeps running like this, it won't have the chance to refine it. I think it already knows that something is wrong with its body. Auntie Faye's profound jade spirit chi is still shaking. This is a sign that it is resisting and trying to force it out, Wu Lingfei said. Then we have to hurry. Night Sorrow controlled Tianyu to fly faster. Don't worry. If we were in a hurry, Auntie Faye would have already flown over. Wu Lingfei said. Night Sorrow nodded and didn't say anything. He controlled Tianyu to chase in the direction Wu Lingfei had given him. In the evening, the two approached the Dark Spirit Corpse's current location. Okay, you don't have to worry about it. Auntie Faye will take care of it. Wu Lingfei's body flashed and left Tianyu's back, flying towards the area where the Dark Spirit Corpse was hiding. Then the battle began. This Dark Spirit Corpse was quite cunning and strong, but in front of Wu Lingfei's absolute strength, it could only be killed. After killing the Dark Spirit Corpse, Wu Lingfei returned to Tianyu's back. Let's find a place to set up camp. Auntie Faye needs to recover first. The doppelganger consumes a lot of energy, so it can't recover as fast as the main body. This is a flaw. Also, I've been cultivating in the Phantom Dao Stone and didn't bring any resources in. This is a mistake. Then what does Auntie Faye need? Origin Spirit Liquid? Or Life Spirit Liquid? Night Sorrow asked. Then give me 2 drops of Origin Spirit Liquid. Wu Lingfei said. Night Sorrow took out a small bottle of Origin Spirit Liquid and gave it to Wu Lingfei. Auntie Faye doesn't have a storage ring. 2 drops will do. After taking the 2 drops, Wu Lingfei returned the bottle to Night Sorrow and sat on Tianyu's back to recover. Night Sorrow rode Tianyu and found a relatively good place. He made a tent out of beast skin and let Wu Lingfei recover. Then he arranged for Tianyu to hunt. After arranging Tianyu's matters, Night Sorrow entered the tent and meditated in a corner. After a night, Wu Lingfei's doppelganger recovered to its peak state. Following which, the two of them continued their search. This time they did not ride Heavenly Feather. Instead they walked on the ground. Only by doing so could they find the materials. As they searched, Wu Lingfei killed a lot of dark creatures. Night Sorrow also collected a lot of alchemy materials and even obtained a piece of extreme origin stone. Wu Lingfei told Night Sorrow that it was a good material for refining spirit tools. This made Night Sorrow quite happy. He was worried that his reincarnation spear would have to be reforged in the future. There was no harm in preparing some materials. You have entered the space of the Dark Island. If there is a familiar scene, you can tell Auntie Faye. This way we can be sure if the two are in the same space. Wu Lingfei said to Night Sorrow. Auntie Faye, it's not the same space. Night Sorrow sighed and said. Look at the original in Chapter V2? Are you sure? Wu Lingfei asked. Yes, the energy is death energy, but the aura is different. The death energy here gives me the feeling that it's drifting and makes me uncomfortable. The death energy in that space is very oppressive, and the energy is somewhat violent. Night Sorrow explained his feeling, which was also the reason why he determined that there were 2 different spaces. Then it's not the same space. But it's a bit strange. The 2 places are not far from each other and both have death energy, but they are not in the same space. What's going on? Wu Lingfei couldn't understand. Could it be that they are in the same space but separated? Or is there some other reason that caused this situation? Night Sorrow asked. It's possible, but it doesn't matter. Let's continue searching. But don't hold too much hope for good resources. There are dark spirit corpses full of intelligence here. They will also collect and use natural treasures. Wu Lingfei said. And it's about time. Let's go. Night Sorrow said. There's no hurry. Although there are fewer resources because of the dark spirit corpses, it doesn't mean that there won't be any. Some things rely on luck and opportunity. The dark spirit corpses can't get it, but it doesn't mean that we can't. Wu Lingfei said. Then let's continue and try our luck. Night Sorrow nodded. Chapter 469. Genius 1 second. Remember love go/small? I'll provide you with some interesting novels to read. Night Sorrow and Wu Lingfei advanced in the dark space for more than 10 days, but the results were mediocre. They collected some alchemy materials and blacksmithing materials. They even reached the edge of the death space, but they didn't find much. The edge of the death space was filled with mist. Wu Lingfei's avatar looked at the spatial turbulence and said, This is the most terrifying spatial turbulence. It contains powerful law attacks. Let alone sovereigns, even saints would be unlucky if they were caught in it. Unless they have a special protective technique, your Night Moon Dynasty's spatial fissure has this ability. Night Sorrow said, "This is the spatial barrier. Let's look in another direction." Wu Lingfei's avatar nodded. Night Sorrow and Wu Lingfei's avatar began to explore the space. They had to collect any resources they found. The two searched the death space for nearly a month. They killed any dark creatures they encountered and collected any resources they found. Although they didn't find any heaven-defying treasures, they collected some alchemy materials and ores. Their biggest gain was a smaller vein. They dug out 100 top-grade spirit stones, 300 to 400 high-grade spirit stones, and some mid-grade spirit stones. Top J. Wu Lingfei said to Night Sorrow, "This space is just like this. There's no point in continuing to search. We can go out and seal the spatial passage. Then this disaster will be solved." Night Sorrow nodded. He knew that there weren't many resources in this space. It was almost impossible for the dark creatures to rise again. After a few days, the two returned to the spatial passage. At the spatial passage, Wu Lingfei asked Night Sorrow for some spirit stones and set up a large formation to hide the spatial passage. Night Sorrow asked, "Auntie Fei is also a formation master?" "I've dabbled a bit. When you cultivate your spiritual strength, you choose sculpting and alchemy. As for Aunt Fei, I've taken the path of studying array formations. I can be considered to have some small accomplishments." As she spoke, Wu Lingfei continued to lay down the array formation. Night Sorrow didn't understand and could only watch from the side. There's a killing formation in the illusion formation. As long as it's not a venerable accidentally bumping into it, any dark creature below the venerable level won't be able to break it. They'll be killed as soon as they enter the formation. We can go back now. Wu Lingfei clapped her hands and said after she finished setting up the formation. Baidu search AI Go female sign Xiao say www.aichuxs.com. With the phantom Dao stone shattered, Wu Lingfei's energy clone couldn't return. Night Sorrow activated a void-type protective barrier, wrapped Wu Lingfei's energy clone, and rushed towards the spatial tunnel. With Wu Lingfei in tow, Night Sorrow's protective barrier was a bit weaker. Fortunately, he was still able to hold on. After a moment, he rushed into the spatial channel. After exiting the spatial tunnel, Night Sorrow saw Wu Lingfei's true body standing not far away. At this moment, Wu Lingfei's doppelganger, who was standing beside Night Sorrow, flashed towards Wu Lingfei's main body and merged into one. Then Wu Lingfei took out spirit stones to set up another formation. Setting up formations on both sides was relatively safer. AI Go Xiao say W, Chu not bad. Let's go back. After setting up the formation, Wu Lingfei waved her arm and wrapped Night Sorrow around her, and they began to fly. It's a bit different. Facing Auntie Fei now, it seems more real. Night Sorrow said. That doppelganger's body was nourished by the phantom Dao stone. There are still some differences. Wu Lingfei said. Soon, the two returned to the defensive line of Broken Cloud Mountain. Seeing Night Sorrow return, Yang Lei and Sikong Chuyu were very happy. Auntie Fei, these are the top-grade crystals we dug up this time. Night Sorrow took out all the top-grade crystals and gave them to Wu Lingfei. Alright. Then Auntie Fei won't be polite with you. Get ready and leave. You've been exhausted during this period of time. Go back to Dongxian City and have a good rest, Wu Lingfei said to Night Sorrow and the two girls. We don't need to go to the Dark Island? Night Sorrow asked. No need. The Bloodstrike guards are guarding the entrance and killing the small fries. My doppelganger can stand guard there. There's no need for everyone to worry, Wu Lingfei said. That's good. Pack up and we'll set off, Night Sorrow said. Then Wu Lingfei called for a meeting with all the higher-ups of the Eastern Xin region to make arrangements. In fact, before the meeting, her doppelganger had already left for the Dark Island. Night Sorrow told Ho Jian and the others, as well as the members of the Bloodstrike guards, and started to pack up and prepare to leave. After letting Ho Jian and the others who planned to go to Dongxian City with him say goodbye to the sect, Night Sorrow went to the Medicine Valley. He didn't plan to return to the Medicine Valley, so he had to greet the Great Elder, Gong Xian, and the other senior brothers. At the Medicine Valley's campsite, Night Sorrow saw the higher-ups of the Nebulous sect. They thanked the Medicine Valley for coming to help regardless of the past. At the same time, they expressed their attitude. If the Medicine Valley needed help in the future, the Nebulous sect wouldn't refuse. The Great Elder and the others also agreed. Currently, the Medicine Valley was at the peak of its power. Or rather, the Medicine Valley's venerables were relatively weak, but they could still develop. The most important thing was that the Medicine Valley had a strong network of connections. Its soft power was ferocious, and its allies were the Southern Dipper sect and the Thunder Rumbling sect. In addition, it was inextricably linked to the City Lord's mansion. Almost all the businesses of the Golden Flame sect in Dongshan City had been taken over by the Medicine Valley. As long as one wasn't a fool, one would know what would happen in the future. When they saw Night Sorrow, the people of the Nebula sect greeted him. Night Sorrow cupped his hands in return. Then Night Sorrow told the Great Elder Gong Xian and his senior brothers about his decision. Okay, go back when you have time. It's also convenient to have a teleportation formation. In addition, take what I told you last time to heart. If you have time, go back and fight for it, the Great Elder said to Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow nodded. He knew that the Great Elder was talking about the Eight-Dragon Cauldron. He wasn't stingy with the Medicine Valley. Similarly, the Medicine Valley also fully supported Night Sorrow's rise. At present, Night Sorrow was the face of the Medicine Valley. The rise of Night Sorrow was equivalent to the rise of the Medicine Valley. If Night Sorrow didn't fall, it meant that the Medicine Valley wouldn't fall. This was because the current network of connections in the Medicine Valley was almost all built up by Night Sorrow. After greeting them, Night Sorrow returned to his team. At this time, the Qinji Tower team and the Blood-Robed Guards team had finished packing up. After Night Sorrow returned, the upper echelons of the Eastern Shen region also arrived at the front of all the teams. Then Elder Dai Tianxiang of the City Lord's Manor announced a decision. The representatives of the major sects were summoned to the City Lord's Manor to discuss the issue of the Scarlet Cloud sect's takeover of Dongshan City. The City Lord's Manor's decision meant that the Scarlet Cloud sect's influence in Dongshan City was to be eliminated. This was Wu Lingfei's order. There was no need to nurture a force that couldn't fight for the Eastern Shen region. It was a complete waste of resources. It was better to eliminate it directly and nurture other forces. Chapter 470. A Genius Remembers Love in 1 Second? We provide you with wonderful novels to read. I'm sure everyone knows the reason. No one will fuss over the small details, but we can't be careless. As a citizen of the Eastern Shen domain, the interests of the Eastern Shen domain must be our top priority. No one cares about how you fight normally, but if you dare to play tricks when the Eastern Shen domain is in danger, then I'm sorry. Dai Tianxiang stated the reason for banning the Scarlet Cloud sect. Not satisfied? If the Scarlet Cloud sect didn't agree, then they would be obliterated. The Dongshan City's City Lord Manor wouldn't interfere under normal circumstances. The development of the sects and clans in the region was left to their own devices, but they couldn't be without principles. If one wanted to develop in the Eastern Shen domain, they could fight for territory and resources, but they couldn't be without a bottom line. If they couldn't contribute to the Eastern Shen domain, then the City Lord Manor wouldn't tolerate it. I hope you can take this as a warning. There's one more thing. The Starcloud sect has been under our protection for 20 years. In these 20 years, you're not allowed to infringe on their interests. You've all seen the reason. They've been fighting all this time. Even though their disciples have suffered heavy losses, the Starcloud sect didn't retreat. In addition, the Starcloud sect has to be disciplined. If you step out of line, then this protection order will be removed. Yes, sir. The Starcloud sect's people bowed. Withdraw. After giving another order, Wu Lingfei's body flickered a few times and she left Broken Cloud Mountain. Night Sorrow then turned around and said, "Release the mounts. Let's go." The mounts of the Bloodstrike Guards were slightly inferior, so they were slower. It took them more than half a day to arrive at the Starcloud City. The Starcloud sect was generous. They didn't ask for any spiritual stones and let them teleport for free. After teleporting to Dongshan City and exiting the teleportation portal, Yishan shouted, "Go back and wait for the servants to cook. That's a bit slow. Everyone move out now. Go buy some dishes. Bring more meat." Following Night Sorrow's shout, the group scattered like birds and beasts, doing what they were supposed to do. Ah, this group of people is too interesting. Not bad, they're all true to themselves, Yang Lei said with a smile. Let's go back to the mansion. When they come back, we can eat and drink to our heart's content. Night Sorrow steered Tianyu back to the mansion. The Bloodstrike Guards and the Qinji Tower team quickly gathered at Night Sorrow's mansion. They set up a table in the garden and started drinking. This banquet lasted for 4 hours. After the group of people had truly enjoyed themselves to the fullest, they dispersed. Back in the living room, Night Sorrow took a sip of the tea brewed by Sikong Chuyu. This time they can finally stop. Who knows? The world is ever-changing. It's better to cultivate and improve your strength, Sikong Chuyu said. Night Sorrow nodded, knowing that strength was the foundation of everything. However, 13, you don't have to feel pressured. Just let nature take its course. Cultivation isn't something that can be achieved overnight, Yang Lei said. Night Sorrow stood up and said, "All right, I'll go see some Auntie Fei. Since we're back, we should at least say hello." However, Night Sorrow didn't see Wu Lingfei in the observation tower. Soon after, Night Sorrow returned to the main building. "Why are you back so soon?" Sikong Chuyu asked. "I didn't see her. Maybe she didn't come back because she was handling some matters." Night Sorrow said. "There are so many things to do now. She has to make arrangements for Chenji Tower and the City Lord's mansion. She'll be very busy," Sikong Chuyu said. "She'll probably be back a little later. It's getting late. You two should enjoy some alone time." Yang Lei smiled and left the main building. Night Sorrow turned to look at Sikong Chuyu. After hearing Yang Lei's words and noticing Night Sorrow's gaze, Sikong Chuyu blushed. "How can you look at people like that? Everything is in your eyes." "Then let's go rest," Night Sorrow said as he held Sikong Chuyu's hand. Sikong Chuyu nodded slightly. Then the two of them went to Night Sorrow's bedroom. "Chuyu, how's your cultivation going?" Night Sorrow asked after sitting down on the bed. "It should be fine. But I don't know until I try," Sikong Chuyu said softly. Most Zen Chapter H Section C, "Then I'll cooperate fully," Night Sorrow said as he took off his outer robe. "How should I say this? If both of us benefit, at the very least we won't be hurt. We really have to cooperate," Sikong Chuyu whispered in Night Sorrow's ear. "Okay, I'll listen to you later," Night Sorrow said as he hugged Sikong Chuyu. Then there was the sound of clothes falling to the ground. Amidst the hugs and kisses and Sikong Chuyu's soft moans, Night Sorrow invaded Sikong Chuyu's delicate body. "Slow down." Sikong Chuyu reached out and knocked Night Sorrow's leg. "Okay." Night Sorrow nodded. He knew that after not being together for a long time, Sikong Chuyu's body was not used to it. After burning passionately for a while, Sikong Chuyu hugged Night Sorrow and whispered something in Night Sorrow's ear. Then, Night Sorrow cooperated with Sikong Chuyu and the two of them began to cultivate the harmonization technique. Night Sorrow was not used to doing other things while exercising. He was a little distracted. In the end, Sikong Chuyu pinched his ear and reminded him to get into the zone. They cultivated for half the night. After bathing, Sikong Chuyu asked Night Sorrow, "How is it?" "Very good. It's good that I can be intimate with you and cultivate. I don't feel tired at all even though I've been busy for half the night," Night Sorrow said. "As for me, my cultivation has improved significantly," Sikong Chuyu said softly. "That's good. You should rest. I'm going to cultivate." Night Sorrow looked at Sikong Chuyu and said, "One night won't make a difference. Stay with me," Sikong Chuyu said as he held Night Sorrow's hand. Night Sorrow nodded and hugged Sikong Chuyu to rest. Over the next 2 days, Night Sorrow, Yang Lei, and Sikong Chuyu all cultivated the harmonization technique. The technique had little effect on Night Sorrow, but it was very helpful to the two girls. This was because Night Sorrow's blood qi was surging and he was full of yang qi. After refining the yang qi that naturally flowed out of Night Sorrow's body, the two girls benefited a lot. When not cultivating, Night Sorrow would play with Tianyu and Silver Fox or watch the Bloodstrike Guard brothers cultivate. After 2 days of peace, Wu Lingfei returned with Lan Yuxuan. "Aunt Fei, Lord Supervisor is here. Have a seat." Night Sorrow, who was cultivating the spear, put away his reincarnation spear and greeted them. "You've worked hard," Lan Yuxuan said with a smile. "It's a chaotic world now. It's always good to have more strength," Night Sorrow said as he wiped the sweat off his forehead. "That's a good idea. Do you have any plans recently?" Wu Lingfei asked Night Sorrow. "Not really. What's wrong, Aunt Fei? Do you need help at the Island of Darkness?" Night Sorrow asked. Chapter 471. A Genius Remembers Love in 1 Second? We provide you with wonderful novels to read. But right now the Eastern Shen region is in troubled times. "I don't want to leave," Night Sorrow said after thinking for a moment. "It should be safe at least for a while," Wu Lingfei said. "I haven't made any plans for this yet, nor have I prepared anything." Night Sorrow was a little hesitant. "There's nothing to prepare. You're just going to meet the people at Tianji Tower's headquarters, then come back. You don't have to worry about anything else, Wu Lingfei said. All right, I'll go, Night Sorrow said. Take them as a tour. Wu Lingfei pointed at Yang Lei and Xikong Chuyu. All right, then Supervisor Lan, when are we leaving? Night Sorrow looked at Lan Yuxuan and asked. It's up to you guys. I can do it any time, Lan Yuxuan said. Then let's do it tomorrow, Yishang said. All right. Come find me at Tianji Tower tomorrow. Lan Yuxuan nodded. She was here for Night Sorrow this time. Once she brought Night Sorrow to the headquarters, her mission would be considered complete. Lan Yuxuan left, but Wu Lingfei didn't. I'm going to the Tianji Tower headquarters. Will they arrange something for me? I don't have time to worry about anything right now. Love Gone Little Sake, Night Sorrow said. This was also the reason why he hesitated. It's fine. Just say that it's my idea to return to the Eastern Xian region, said Wu Lingfei. That's good. Night Sorrow hated trouble. After resting for a night, he greeted Hou Jian, Xueling and the others. He bowed to the attic where Wu Lingfei was resting. Night Sorrow put on his mask and left the mansion with Yang Lei and Xikong Chuyu. He rode his Tianyu to Tianji Tower. In the lobby of Tianji Tower, Night Sorrow saw Lan Yuxuan waiting for them. Then let's go. Lan Yuxuan, who was also wearing a mask, waved at Night Sorrow. After leaving Tianji Tower, Night Sorrow and the other two released their mounts. You all have mounts. I released mine a long time ago, Lan Yuxuan said when she saw Night Sorrow and the other two's mounts. Supervisor Lan, you can ride with me, Yang Lei said to Lan Yuxuan. Lan Yuxuan nodded. She used to fly when she went out. A supremacy's flight was much faster than a flying beast. However, she wanted to ride with Night Sorrow and the other two now. After the four of them arrived at the teleportation array, Lan Yuxuan handed over the spirit stones and said, to Linhai City. When they arrived at Linhai City, Lan Yuxuan handed over the spirit stones without exiting the teleportation array. Taiwei region's East Smoke City. In the 9-domain world, the Qingtian region occupied the most central position. If one wanted to go to the Qingtian region from the Eastern Xian region, they had to pass through the Taiwei region. The Taiwei region's East Smoke City was located in the same location as the Eastern Xian region's Linhai City. This time the teleportation took a longer time. It took the four of them 5 minutes to complete the teleportation. Continue to teleport to Dongxiang City. Lan Yuxuan handed over the spirit stones again. After exiting Dongxiang City's teleportation array, Lan Yuxuan said, it must be tiring to take the teleportation array continuously, right? Let's go to the Tianji Tower's branch to rest for a while. I'll go check on them and see if they've done what I asked them to do. We'll continue our journey tomorrow. Night Sorrow nodded. Of course he would listen to Lan Yuxuan's opinion now. After checking into the guest room arranged by Dongxiang City's Tianji Tower, Xikong Chuyu brewed a pot of tea. We'll be flying tomorrow. I wonder why Dongxiang City doesn't open the teleportation array to Taiwei City? Xikong Chuyu asked. Due to the severe depletion of the teleportation crystals, it will only be opened during times of war or under special circumstances, Lan Yuxuan said after entering the room. It's nothing. We have mounts. We can just fly slowly, Night Sorrow said. Then you guys should rest early. We'll set off tomorrow morning, Lan Yuxuan said to them. After Lan Yuxuan left, Night Sorrow and the other two chatted casually. It'll probably take some time to reach Qingtian City, Night Sorrow said as he stood in front of the window and looked at Dongxiang City. Our trip will probably take about a month, Xikong Chuyu said. I thought we'd be able to teleport there if we kept taking the teleportation array. Night Sorrow said. The teleportation array is limited. Also, due to strategic reasons, many teleportation arrays aren't usually opened. They'll only be opened during special times and under orders from the royal city, Xikong Chuyu said to Night Sorrow. I understand. Chuyu, it's best that you don't expose your fire phoenix. Tomorrow you'll take the Tianyu with me. Ninth senior sister, you'll monitor with Lan Yuxuan, Night Sorrow said. All right, that's settled then, Yang Lei said. She knew that Xikong Chuyu's whereabouts were still quite sensitive. It would be troublesome if they were discovered. Although they weren't afraid now, it was better to have one more problem than one less. Xikong Chuyu and Yang Lei didn't leave Night Sorrow's room either. They meditated and cultivated in the room. After dawn, the four of them set off. According to Night Sorrow's arrangement, 2 flying demonic beasts carried the four of them. The dark-feathered eagle and Tianyu were of the same level, but there was a big difference in speed. Night Sorrow had to let Tianyu control its speed. They traveled during the day and rested at night. The following days were very peaceful. After half a month, the group arrived at the royal city of Taiyue region. When they arrived at Taiyue city, Lan Yuxuan wanted to bring the three of them to the Tianji Tower branch to rest. However, Night Sorrow wanted them to rest in an inn. That way they would be more comfortable. Lan Yuxuan nodded and stayed in the inn with the three of them. During the journey, Night Sorrow didn't stop cultivating. His true qi and cultivation of the myriad Daoist tome had improved. The improvement of his soul power and bloodline talent was also very smooth. Taiyue region is also a relatively backward region. In the last region war, many supremacies were killed by Lord Wu Quebec. The Taiyue city lord also went missing after that battle. The situation might not be optimistic, Lan Yuxuan said. I heard about this from Aunt Fei. Night Sorrow nodded. This is the difference. Back then, Qingtian region joined forces with Taiyue region to take down Eastern Xian region. In the end, they suffered heavy losses. Qingtian region recovered quickly, but Taiyue region was almost annihilated, Lan Yuxuan said. Aunt Fei has recovered. They don't know what's going on, Night Sorrow said. I'm not sure about that. However, even if they were given the guts, they wouldn't dare to attack the Eastern Xian region again. Although the Eastern Xian region doesn't have many venerables and the cultivation level of their cultivators is somewhat low, Master Wu Kei is an insurmountable mountain. Lan Yuxuan said with a smile. Aunt Fei's existence is an important factor for the stability of Eastern Xian region. Without Aunt Fei's suppression, the other regions wouldn't be so obedient. Night Sorrow sighed. Look at the chapter BJI of the C edition. Chapter 472. Genius 1 second remember love go/little? We provide you with wonderful novels to read. So there's such a thing. Night Sorrow sighed. Yes. In the past, Wu Kei Lord didn't stay in the Eastern Xian region. She often traveled to the 9 regions and 18 prefectures. She was our Tianji Tower's Heaven's Terminus envoy, chief supervisor and vice Kei Lord. Later, when the old Kei Lord was about to die, he had to choose between Wu Kei Lord and the current chief Kei Lord to take over the position. However, at that time, the Qingtian region and Taiyue region started a war with the Eastern Xian region. Lan Yuxuan explained in detail. After the war broke out, Wu Lingfei returned to the Eastern Xian region and led people to fight the people of the Qingtian region and Taiyue region. The battlefield was outside the Eastern Xian region's waterfront city. After Wu Lingfei killed many venerables, she fought with the Qingtian city lord and Taiyue city lord until both sides suffered heavy losses. Night Sorrow knew what happened next. I see. Then Supervisor Lan, I want to ask, in each region, is the King city lord the most powerful person? Night Sorrow asked. No, the situation is different in each region. The region lord is the true ruler. At present, only the southerly region has a region lord. The other 8 regions shouldn't have any region lords, or maybe it hasn't been announced. Lan Yuxuan thought for a moment and said, why do some have it and some don't? Night Sorrow didn't understand. This involves a big problem. Let's put it this way. Our 9 regions world was broken into 9 regions and 18 prefectures after the ancient investiture of the gods. The world's origin was also broken into 9 pieces. Each region has a broken origin. Only by refining the origin can one become a region lord. Do you understand what this means? Lan Yuxuan said to Night Sorrow. If that's the case, then I understand. Yishang nodded. The city lord of the 9 king city isn't necessarily a region lord, but a region lord is likely to be a city lord. This is probably the case. Lan Yuxuan said. If he has refined the origin source, then he must be very powerful. Isn't the Southly region the strongest of the 9 regions? Yang Lei asked in shock. Not necessarily. The domain lord of the Southly region appeared 200 years ago. At that time he was still a nameless third-rank cultivator. Later on he went into seclusion. No one knows what his current situation is. Of course, with this factor, no one would dare to provoke the Southly region. Even if it's a broken source stone, it's still extraordinary. It's not in source stone, but a part of the 9 domain world's broken source bead, Lan Yuxuan said. This is a potential for development. With this deterrence, no one would dare to act recklessly. Sikong Chiyu opened her mouth and said. That's right, Sikong Chiyu said. Yes, that's it. Let's not talk about this. You guys should rest early. Tomorrow we'll take the teleportation array and leave. However, there is still an area in between that we need to fly, Lan Yuxuan said to Night Sorrow and the others. Why aren't some teleportation arrays open? Night Sorrow felt helpless. He felt that it would be much easier to just teleport there directly. They are afraid of a domain war breaking out. The other party will snatch the teleportation array and rush to the core area to attack, so they need a buffer zone, Lan Yuxuan said. Can't our Eastern Xian region directly teleport to Waterfront City? They just lack magnanimity. Night Sorrow snorted. He was very dissatisfied with the current situation. That's because the Wuxia Lord is domineering. Basically, no one will go and cause trouble. The other regions can't do the same. A domain war can break out at any time, so everyone has to be on guard, Lan Yuxuan said with a smile. After resting for a night, the four of them took the teleportation array to Taiyue region's West Liang City. Then the four of them continued to fly to Taiyue region's West Sea City. That was the waterfront city of Taiyue region. It was also where the teleportation array to Qingtian region was located. It took 6 days for the four of them to reach West Sea City. After crossing the domain sea, we will reach Qingtian region, Lan Yuxuan said to Night Sorrow and the others. But to reach the core area of Qingtian region, we still have to fly for a while, Sikong Chuyu said. I'm already used to it. In the past, it took me a few months to travel to the Far East icefield. After experiencing so much, my tolerance has increased, Night Sorrow said with a smile. Sitting in the teleportation array, the four of them arrived at Qingtian region's East Hua City. Alright, let's rest for a night. Tomorrow we will continue our long journey, Lan Yuxuan said to the four of them. If Lan Yuxuan traveled by herself, the time would be much shorter. After all, the flying speed of a venerable was several times that of a rank 5 flying demonic beast. She had to accommodate Night Sorrow and the others since she was carrying Night Sorrow and the others. The four of them checked into an inn. Be careful. Jiyu clan's forces are everywhere in Qingtian region. We will be discovered if we're not careful. Sikong Chuyu said to Night Sorrow. Then where is the territory of your clan? Night Sorrow asked. It's in the north of Beiling City, Sikong Chuyu said. Do you plan to go home this time? Night Sorrow hesitated for a while and asked. I think I'd better not. It's too troublesome. Sikong Chuyu shook his head. Up to 3. I think so too. Night Sorrow, you are now at the 4th level of the Void Inquiry stage. If you work hard and advance to the Venerable Realm, there won't be any problems. Lan Yuxuan looked at Night Sorrow and said. She knew about the matter between Night Sorrow and Sikong Chuyu. Then I'll have to trouble you for a while more. When I improve my strength, it will be once and for all. The problem will be solved once and for all. Night Sorrow clenched his fists and said. After chatting for a while, Lan Yuxuan went to another room to rest. Chuyu, now that we've returned to Qingtian region, do you have anything else to do? Night Sorrow asked. I want to visit my grandfather. I don't want him to worry. Sikong Chuyu thought for a while and said. After we're done with our business, we'll make a trip there. Night Sorrow nodded. When we see my grandfather, we'll ask him to bring the news to my parents. Then my parents won't be worried, Sikong Chuyu said. All right. We don't have anything to do at the headquarters of Tianji Tower. We just need to report our arrival and show our faces. After that, we'll head to Cloud Mist Mountain. Night Sorrow could understand Sikong Chuyu's thoughts very well. After resting for a night, the four of them flew towards the core area of Qingtian region. They were going to East Park City to take the teleportation array. That way they would be able to reach Qingtian City directly. Supervisor Lan, what do I need to do at the headquarters of Tianji Tower? Is it troublesome? Night Sorrow asked. You just need to see the Chief Tower Master, the Elders and the others. You'll be officially appointed as the Heaven's Fate Envoy. Of course they might let you stay at the headquarters. It's up to you, Lan Yuxuan said. Supervisor Lan, you know that I'm going back to Eastern Xian region. I can't stay at the headquarters. Night Sorrow shook his head and said. I understand. They're just suggesting. They won't force you. Besides, they'll respect Master Wu Kei's wishes, Lan Yuxuan said. That's good. I don't want to be restrained. It'll be uncomfortable. I want to move forward with my own thoughts. Night Sorrow breathed a sigh of relief. Chapter 473. Genius 1 second. Remember love divided by go divided by little? I will provide you with wonderful novels to read. It seems that Auntie Fei is quite powerful. Love go little say, net, Chusikong Chuyu said with a smile. Currently, Lord Wu Kei is still the Deputy Lord of Tianji Tower. Of course, Lord Wu Kei doesn't take this position seriously. Lan Yuxuan nodded. As long as Auntie Fei's intentions are effective, it's fine. Don't be forced to do something beyond your ability, Night Sorrow said with a smile. After resting for a night in Donghua City, Night Sorrow's group of 4 continued their journey to Dongyuan City. Once they arrived at Dongyuan City, they didn't need to fly anymore. They went directly to Qingtian City through the teleportation array. This time it took them 5 days to reach East Garden City, and Lan Yuxuan brought the 3 of them into the city. Lan Yuxuan didn't take them to an inn. Instead, she brought them to a mansion. After instructing the servants not to let them enter the backyard, Lan Yuxuan took off her mask. I used to work in Dongyuan City, so I bought this mansion. I haven't been here for a long time. Sorry to trouble you, Supervisor Lan. Night Sorrow's group cupped their hands at Lan Yuxuan. After you take up the position, I will be your subordinate, so I have to establish a good relationship with you in advance, Lan Yuxuan said with a smile. Supervisor Lan, you must be joking. Night Sorrow shook his head. I'm not joking. The Celestial Emissary is actually the successor to several important positions in Tianji Tower. To put it simply, he is the young lord. Therefore, all the guardians, supervisors, and elders have to listen to his orders, Lan Yuxuan said seriously. Even if I become the Celestial Emissary, Supervisor Lan can just treat me as a decoration. I don't care about this, Night Sorrow said. Let's not talk about this now. You guys have a good rest. Treat this place like your own home. Rest for 2 days and walk around Dongyuan City. We'll set off after that. Lan Yuxuan said to Night Sorrow's group of 3 and left. $7. Forever? CK little plus T. Night Sorrow and the others didn't reject Lan Yuxuan's good intentions. Moreover, if Lan Yuxuan had other things to do, it would be very awkward if they said that they didn't need to rest. No matter where it is, it's not as comfortable as our Qingxing cottage and Longquan courtyard, Sikong Chuyu said. That's our territory. We can do whatever we want. It's the feeling of home. Staying in an inn or someone else's house, no matter how luxurious it is, it doesn't have that comfortable feeling, Yang Lei said with a smile. Soon after, someone brought over food and wine. Baidu search AI go female sign xiao say www.ichuxs. After the 3 of them finished eating, they went out on the street. Since they were already in East Park City, they might as well take a stroll. East Park City was also a first-rate city in the Qingtian region. East Park City was beautiful in the evening. Although it was not as prosperous as Dongshan City, it was still better than Danding City and Thunder City. Night Sorrow brought Yang Lei and Sikong Chuyu to a clothing store to buy a few sets of robes. After leaving the clothing store, Night Sorrow and the others strolled casually in front of a small street stall in front of the store. These stall owners were all cultivators. They took out resources that they didn't need to exchange for things that were suitable for them. Many cultivators did this. Night Sorrow used the Clear Void elixir to exchange for a lot of Clear Void herbs. 1 cauldron of Clear Void elixir could be exchanged for 3 cauldrons of ingredients, which was a good deal for Night Sorrow. This was also a good deal for cultivators who couldn't find an alchemy master. It was equivalent to a win-win situation. Night Sorrow then used his spirit stones to buy 2 Clear Void herbs. Night Sorrow didn't need these herbs, but the people of the Medicine Valley and the members of the Bloodstrike Guard did. The 3 of them continued to look ahead. If there were suitable materials, Night Sorrow would sell them. After that, Night Sorrow found a lightning attribute crystal. However, the price was very high. The exchange rate for high-grade spirit stones was 100. 1 while the exchange rate for top-grade spirit stones was 1. This price was very high. One should know that one could buy a house in Dongshan City with 50 high-grade spirit stones. Such a price was also a little inappropriate. The exchange rate for spirit stones was 100. However, 100 high-grade spirit stones was definitely not enough to exchange for a top-grade spirit stone. A top-grade spirit stone was a very rare resource. The top-grade spirit stones in Night Sorrow's possession were also the product of several great opportunities. The others might not have seen top-grade spirit stones before. Of course, if the price wasn't high, Night Sorrow and the others wouldn't have had the chance to see the lightning attribute crystal either. The stall owner was a 6th Void Inquiry stage cultivator. He didn't really care if others bought it or not. Is an extreme void pill enough? Night Sorrow did not want to use spirit stones. If he ran out of pills, he could still refine them. Besides, to him, level 5 pills were already redundant. However, high-grade spirit stones and top-grade spirit stones were very valuable. Both venerables and saints could use them. I only need 1 extreme void pill. The difference in value is too big. There's no way to negotiate. The black-robed man said. How about the clear void pill? Night Sorrow asked. He noticed that when he mentioned the extreme void pill, the corner of the stall owner's eyes twitched a little. 50 clear void pills and 1 extreme void pill in exchange for a lightning attribute crystal. After thinking for a while, the man said, 100 clear void pills and 1 extreme void pill in exchange for the 2 lightning attribute crystals here. Night Sorrow stated his intention. This isn't appropriate. The stall owner shook his head. Night Sorrow did not say anything and directly walked forward. He felt that this man was raising the price on the spot. The price he offered was already not low. All right. Don't go. It's your turn. Seeing Night Sorrow walking away, the stall owner shouted. There are 20 pills in this bottle. After Night Sorrow turned around, he took out 5 bottles of clear void pills and 1 extreme void pill and handed them to the stall owner. Then he took the lightning attribute crystal from the stall owner who had finished inspecting the pills. Glancing at the lightning attribute crystal, Night Sorrow directly left Yang Lei and continued to move forward. We've made a profit. Although the pills are precious, we can still get them. However, the lightning attribute crystal is very rare. Sikong Chiyu said. Why would he do something like this? He didn't want to exchange just now. Yang Lei glanced at Night Sorrow and said. She was obviously a little unhappy. Ninth senior sister, I know that he will definitely exchange. Don't cultivators need resources? Besides, if he doesn't agree, I will walk a few steps back and agree to the exchange. Will I give up the resources that ninth senior sister needs for a pill? Night Sorrow said with a wry smile. All right. I misunderstood you. Yang Lei said while holding Night Sorrow's arm. We don't lack resources and spirit stones, but we can't let others take advantage of us. Well, let's continue to search for treasures. There are really some good things here. Night Sorrow said while patting Yang Lei's hand that was holding his arm. Then the 3 of them continued to stroll around. When they came to an old man's stall, Night Sorrow's footsteps stopped again. Senior, how much is this clear void pill? Night Sorrow squatted down and asked. 20 top-grade crystal stones for a bottle, 10 pills for a bottle. The old man said. This price is not bad. Then give me a bottle. What kind of stone is this? Night Sorrow pointed to 2 cyan stones on the side of the stall and asked. I don't know. I got it in an ancient ruin. I almost died there. I don't know what material it is, but it is incomparably hard. If you want it, it will be 20 top-grade spirit stones. Although I don't know what material it is definitely worth the price. The old man said. Chapter 474. A Genius Remembers Love in 1 Second? We provide you with wonderful novels to read. At first, Yang Lei and Sikong Chiyu didn't understand why Night Sorrow wanted to ask about medicinal pills. Both of them knew that Night Sorrow had a lot of clear void pills and great void pills. He also had a lot of materials that he hadn't refined yet, so it was impossible for him to be interested in pills. Seeing Night Sorrow ask about the stones, the 2 girls understood that Night Sorrow's real goal was the 2 cyan stones. Don't you think it's inappropriate for you to ask for 20 upper-level spirit stones for materials that you don't know the value of? Yang Lei asked. You 5 forever HJ forever HK FC small MB say /4 inch perhaps. This stone may not have much value, but I almost lost my life in that adventure. Just based on that, it's worth this price in my heart, the old man said. All right. Buy it. Go back and study it to see what it is. Yi Shang took out 40 high-grade spirit stones and gave them to the old man. Then the old man gave a bottle of clear void pills and 2 stones to Night Sorrow. After putting away the clear void pill and the cyan stone, Night Sorrow continued to lead the 2 women forward. Night Sorrow, what's that? Sikong Chiyu asked after they were some distance away from the old man's stall. A great opportunity, or rather, a great opportunity for both of you. Let's talk about it when we return to the inn. Yi Shan scanned the surroundings and then said, Let's go, Yi Shan said as he scanned the surroundings. Yang Lei and Sikong Chiyu nodded. They knew that Night Sorrow was not someone who liked to exaggerate. If he said that it was a great opportunity, then it must be a very precious treasure. Following that, the 3 of them continued to stroll around the street stall. However, it would appear that their luck had run out. After failing to find anything else, the 3 of them returned to the inn. Hurry up and tell us what that is. Yang Lei shook Night Sorrow's arm and said. Void Dao Stone, a top-notch medium for condensing clones. It can even be said that its value is comparable to source stones. I originally had one but today I got two more. The problem of condensing clones in the future has been solved, Night Sorrow said with a smile. Void Dao Stone. It's actually the legendary Void Dao Stone. Void Dao Stone is the best medium for condensing soul clones. However, it's hard to say if Ninth Senior Sister and I can condense clones. The prerequisite for condensing clones is that your soul power is strong. If your soul power is not strong enough and you split a part of it, the consequences, Sikong Chuyu said. This thing is a good treasure. If you need it, come and get it from me. Today's luck is really good. Night Sorrow was more excited. One of the Void Dao stones that Night Sorrow had obtained today was relatively large, while the other was relatively small. The larger one was 3 times larger than Wu Lingfei's Void Dao Stone orb, and the smaller one was similar to the one he had obtained before. It was about the same size as the one Wu Lingfei had used. Today I'll stick it all to you. These 2 Thunder Attribute Crystal Stones can increase my attribute power. Let's not talk about how much my cultivation will increase, but if my main attribute power increases, my fighting strength will increase. Yang Lei was more excited. Hee, it's good that it's helpful. Night Sorrow smiled and nodded. He was happy for Yang Lei. Ninth Senior Sister, did you notice that our family's Night Sorrow is very smart? He knew that the Void Dao Stone was the main point, but he still opened his mouth to buy pills. This move is very beautiful. Sikong Chuyu smiled as he looked at Night Sorrow. Indeed, if we directly ask the stone, the old man will pay attention. It's possible that he will raise the price and there will also be other variables. This way it will be solved easily. Yang Lei nodded. She also agreed with Night Sorrow's method. In the future we have to walk around more. Who knows, we might be able to meet someone who sells water attribute crystal stones and nothingness attribute crystal stones. Night Sorrow said. Don't even think about it. There are a lot of water attribute cultivators, so water attribute crystal stones are definitely in short supply. As for nothingness attribute crystal stones, you dare to think about it? Without nothingness energy as a foundation, how can it produce nothingness crystal stones? You should refine that thing and go to the void fiendish space to look for it. Sikong Chuyu said to attack Night Sorrow. Alright. Then can I go look for other attributes? I can use ice attribute crystal stones and space attribute crystal stones. Night Sorrow retorted with a smile. You're awesome. Sikong Chuyu gave Night Sorrow a thumbs up. Rest. Chuyu, why don't the 3 of us sleep together? Yang Lei asked Sikong Chuyu with a smile. I still care about my face. Do you still want to see me tomorrow? Sikong Chuyu rolled his eyes at Yang Lei. This is between the 3 of us. Others don't know. What's there to be afraid of? 13 Ninth Senior Sister will help you massage. You do it. Yang Lei hugged Sikong Chuyu's shoulders and pressed Sikong Chuyu onto the bed. Ninth Senior Sister, this is someone else's house. The Venerable One's soul power is very strong. You will find out. If we want to cause trouble, we will do it at home. Night Sorrow reached out to help Sikong Chuyu up. You only know how to bully me. Sikong Chuyu, who was pulled up by Night Sorrow, directly pressed down on Yang Lei's body. 2 jade hands were kneading Yang Lei's breasts. Don't move. That's 13's. Yang Lei turned over and pressed Sikong Chuyu down. Night Sorrow was helpless, but he was also happy. This proved that the 2 of them had a good relationship. After fooling around for a while, the 2 girls stopped. Their faces were red as they tidied up their skirts. Chuyu, I'm not joking. I can't handle him alone. Yang Lei looked at Night Sorrow and said. Night Sorrow had finished cultivating the outer chapter of the Myriad Daos Tome. His ability in that area had become much stronger. Every time they were together, the 2 girls would have a hard time. We'll talk about it when we get home. Sikong Chuyu didn't refute this time. Then the 3 of them sat down to cultivate. Time was squeezed out. Only by putting all their time and energy into cultivation would they have any achievements. The next day, the 3 of them continued to walk the streets, but they didn't gain anything. Night Sorrow knew that it was impossible for good things to happen when they went out. He should be satisfied with obtaining the Phantom Daos Stone. After resting for 2 days, Lan Yuxuan took the 3 of them to the Sky-Bearing region's capital, Sky-Bearing City. After exiting the teleportation array, the 4 of them rode Tianyu and the dark feathered eagle under Lan Yuxuan's guidance. In the sky, Night Sorrow and the others saw a tall pagoda that reached into the clouds. The tip of the pagoda emitted light that rippled in all directions. That's the symbol of the Sky-Bearing region, the Shantian Tower. If you have time, you can go and challenge it. If you reach a high level, the rewards will be great. Lan Yuxuan said to Night Sorrow and the others. Night Sorrow thought for a moment and asked, "Who's the owner of the Shintian Tower?" "I've never heard of an owner. It's owned by the City Lord's mansion. Some spirit treasures are very difficult to control because the artifact spirit doesn't recognize them. It's hard to say what level the Shintian Tower is at right now. It has existed for countless years and might have evolved, so it's not that easy to become its owner. Even the City Lord of the Royal City can't do it," Lan Yuxuan said. "It's the strongest spirit treasure of the sky-bearing region and the symbol of the sky-bearing region," Sikong Chiyu said. "Then if we just leave it like this, aren't we afraid that someone will recognize it as its owner and move it away?" Yang Lei said. "It's not that easy. Countless people have tried to challenge the tower over the years, but no one has been recognized by the Shintian Tower. Besides, there are so many elders guarding it. If anyone wants to move it away, it's no different from poking a hornet's nest," Lan Yuxuan said with a smile. Chapter 475. A Genius Remembers Love in 1 Second? We provide you with wonderful novels to read. Night Sorrow looked at the Shintian Tower and pondered. The Shintian Tower was truly domineering and pierced through the clouds. It was ancient and fragrant. "Hee, why are you interested?" Lan Yuxuan looked at Night Sorrow and asked. "I'm interested. I'll give it a try when I have time," Night Sorrow said. "Okay, let's go to Qinji Tower's headquarters now. Remember, the matters of the Qinji Tower's headquarters cannot be leaked," Lan Yuxuan said to Night Sorrow and the others. "We will," Night Sorrow said. After a while, they arrived in front of an ancient and majestic pavilion. "This place is called the Celestial Peak Pavilion. We don't deal with outsiders. You can say that if you don't have a Qinji Tower token on you, you will be mercilessly killed by the array formation inside the Celestial Peak Pavilion. Keep your tokens on you, don't put them in your storage rings." Lan Yuxuan stood in front of the pavilion and said. "So terrifying?" Night Sorrow said with some surprise. At the same time he took out his ID card and placed it in his bosom. Yang Lei and Sikong Chiyu did the same. "Of course, what is this place?" "It's the headquarters of our Qinji Tower," Lan Yuxuan said. "I feel that it's even more domineering than the City Lord's mansion. When I passed by the City Lord's mansion just now, I didn't feel that way." Yang Lei spoke out her inner feelings. "You're right," Yang Lei spoke out her inner feelings. "Our Qinji Tower might not be as influential as the Royal City's City Lord Manor, but that's because our forces are scattered. If our Qinji Tower's forces are concentrated in a single region, it would be easy for us to slaughter a royal city. Take the Eastern Profound Region's Branch Palace as an example. Mistress Wuxia alone can suppress an entire region." As she spoke, Lan Yuxuan brought the 4 of them into the pavilion. Indeed, Qinji Tower is scattered in the 9 regions and 18 states. If all the branches are gathered together, their strength is indeed difficult to estimate, Night Sorrow said after thinking for a while. However, the City Lord's mansion's strength can't be estimated simply. The City Lord's mansion is a top force in a region. Fighting with the City Lord's mansion means starting a war with a region. The consequences are also very serious. Lan Yuxuan led the group into the pavilion's lobby. The people in the lobby were all members of Qinji Tower wearing bronze masks. Lan Yuxuan led them through the main hall of the pavilion and arrived at the backyard. "Why are there so many patrols?" Yi Shan muttered when they reached the backyard of the main building. "No. They aren't patrollers. Patrollers are selected from various forces. These are the Death Warriors nurtured by the Heaven's Extreme Tower. The Bronze Palace Warriors are only responsible for fighting. They fight to protect the glory of the Heaven's Extreme Tower," Lan Yuxuan explained. "Then why are we allowed to go in and out?" Yang Lei asked, puzzled. When we entered the pavilion, the array didn't attack us. This means that we have a token and are the core members of Qinji Tower. Also, are the masks on our faces fake?" Lan Yuxuan said helplessly. Lan Yuxuan then led the 3 of them into a small courtyard. "This is my resting and cultivation place." Just as Lan Yuxuan was speaking, 2 maids came over and bowed. "Serve these lords well. Yang Lei and Chu, you don't need to wear masks here. They are all trained by Qinji Tower and are absolutely loyal." Lan Yuxuan took off her mask and said. Then the few of them took off their masks and drank the tea served by the maids. "The 2 of you can rest here first. When Night Sorrow is officially appointed as the Celestial Oracle, you don't have to stay here because the higher-ups will arrange a residence for you." Lan Yuxuan took a sip of tea and said. "That's not important. I'll have to trouble Inspector Lan." Sikong Chiyu cupped his hands towards Lan Yuxuan. Their problem also needs to be solved. After entering the Fifth Order, it's not an ordinary inspection. The headquarters will make arrangements for this. However, your matter is more important, so I have to make arrangements first. I still have to be a good guide. Lan Yuxuan finished her tea and stood up, saying to Night Sorrow, "We're going to meet someone?" Night Sorrow also stood up. "Yes. Come with me to meet the real higher-ups. Put on your mask first," Lan Yuxuan said and put on her mask. Night Sorrow nodded to Yang Lei and Sikong Chiu, put on his mask and then looked at Lan Yuxuan. "We can go now." Under Lan Yuxuan's lead, Night Sorrow and her entered the back pavilion of the Celestial Oracle Pavilion. Lan Yuxuan took out her token from time to time and showed it to the palace guard. Then the two went down the stairs and went underground. At this time, the palace guard was already wearing a silver mask. At this time, Night Sorrow also needed to show his token. Without it, he would have to stop. Seeing Night Sorrow's white token with a flame, the palace guard let them go. Night Sorrow followed Lan Yuxuan to an underground hall. There was a teleportation array in the underground hall, and a man with a golden mask stood in front of it. "Night Sorrow, take off your mask. After coming here you can't wear a mask anymore. Lord Tianxing, this is Night Sorrow who passed the Celestial Oracle 5 stars assessment. I'm going to take him to the Dark Tower," Lan Yuxuan said to the man with the golden mask after taking off her mask. "Okay. He has a token. His identity has been confirmed, so you can teleport. Inspector Lan, please." After glancing at Night Sorrow's token, the man with the golden mask took a step back. Night Sorrow nodded slightly. He knew that this was Qinji Tower's Golden Palace Guard, the core force. However, he also noticed the difference in the mask. Whether it was an inspector, a protector, or a supervisor, their masks had patterns on them. However, the masks of these palace guards were shiny without any patterns. As the Golden Palace Guard called Tianxing stepped back, Lan Yuxuan took Night Sorrow and stepped into the teleportation array. Then she picked up the crystal placed on the side and inserted it into the card slot to teleport. After a moment of absent-mindedness, Lan Yuxuan and Yi Shang arrived at a special location. There was a teleportation array beneath their feet, and they were surrounded by a lush ancient forest. Not far away there was an incomparably grand hall. At this time, there was a golden palace guard outside the teleportation array. "Lord Jinue, this is the person the chief wants to see," Lan Yuxuan said to the woman with the golden mask. "Go." The woman with the golden mask nodded after glancing at the token in Night Sorrow's hand. "Night Sorrow, this is the real core area of Qinji Tower, the Dark Tower. The chief, the law enforcement elders and the protector elders are all here. Qinji Tower's highest order is also issued from here," Lan Yuxuan said to Night Sorrow. "I understand. It's almost impossible for this place to be captured," Night Sorrow said. See latest chapter section above 0T. Yes. When entering the teleportation array in the underground palace, you can't wear a mask. Those who can enter the Dark Tower are limited to some of the higher-ups. Lord Tianxing can confirm your identity 100%. It's impossible for anyone to sneak in, Lan Yuxuan said with a smile. It's an ancient inheritance. There is indeed a set of strict rules and methods. Night Sorrow nodded. Chapter 476. A Genius Remembers Love in 1 Second? We provide you with wonderful novels to read. So strict? Night Sorrow asked in surprise. Of course, what is this place? It's the core of Qinji Tower. I've just obtained the qualifications to enter this place, Lan Yuxuan said with a smile. I understand. Then, under Lan Yuxuan's lead, the two entered the main hall. There were 2 old men meditating in the main hall. When they saw Lan Yuxuan and Night Sorrow arrive, they opened their eyes. Yu Xian, is this the Night Sorrow who passed the Heavenly Fate assessment? An old man wearing a blue robe asked. Yes, elderly. Night Sorrow, let me introduce you. This is the Guardian Elder of Qinji Tower, Elder Li, and this is the Law Enforcing Elder, Elder Hua, Lan Yuxuan introduced. Yi Shang greets the 2 elders. Yi Shang bowed in greeting. It has been less than 3 years since you entered the Purple Light Realm. You are already at the 4th level of the Void Inquiry stage and your essence chi is more than 10 zhang*. 3. 33 m per zhang. Good. Very good. Elder Li looked at Night Sorrow and said, good, twice in a low voice. It was obvious that he was very emotional. According to the records, Night Sorrow has only been cultivating for 3 years. Men, go and inform the Chief K Master, the Chief Supervisor and the Chief Protector to come here. Elder Hua, whose beard was like steel needles, shouted behind him. Then a figure wearing a pitch-black mask appeared and left the hall. Sit anywhere you want. You don't have to be reserved. With a wave of his arm, Elderly kept the futon and sat down on a chair by the side. Then he pointed to a chair beside him and said to Night Sorrow. Jane, the only %positive S hashtag version, it's, all VW is D** steel C version Lu, thank you Elderly. Night Sorrow cupped his hands and found a seat. Then this subordinate will take her leave. Lan Yuxuan bowed and said. There's no need. I need you to convey something later. Elder Hua waved his hand and stopped Lan Yuxuan from leaving. Night Sorrow, is Mistress Wu Kei doing well? Elderly asked. Everything is fine. Thank you for your concern, Elder. Night Sorrow stood up and said. Sit down. You're the most outstanding member that Tianji Tower has discovered in hundreds of years. I'm very happy, Elderly said while stroking his long beard. Just as they were talking, 3 people walked in through the door. The middle-aged man in the lead was wearing a brocade robe, while the other 2 were wearing gray robes. Greetings, K-Master. Elderly, Elder Hua and Lan Yuxuan all bowed. Night Sorrow also stood up and cupped his hands. Baidu search AI go female sign xiao say www.aichuxs. Xion nodding his head, the middle-aged man sat down on the main seat. The other 2 also sat down beside Elderly and Elder Hua. Not bad at all. Seeing you, I can see the future of Tianji Tower. Let me introduce myself to you. I'm Lin Yuandao, the current K-Master of Tianji Tower. Lin Yuandao introduced himself to Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow greets K-Master. Night Sorrow bowed to Lin Yuandao. No need to be so polite. Everyone introduce yourselves. Lin Yuandao said. Elderly stood up and introduced his position and name. Guardian Elder Lutrin Swan. Elder Hua stood up and introduced himself. Law Enforcement Elder Hua Haining. Chief Protector's name Li Chang Tian. Chief Supervisor Elder Li Changtan. Night Sorrow, you've completed your 5 stars assessment, so there are some procedures you need to go through. Elderly, please announce the absolute core of Tianji Tower, the rules you need to abide by, and the obligations you need to fulfill for Tianji Tower. Lin Yuandao said to Lutrin Swan. Lutrin Swan stood up and read out the rules of Tianji Tower. The first rule was that Tianji Tower's interests were paramount, and they were not allowed to betray Tianji Tower. The other rules were that they were not allowed to kill non-cultivators, they were not allowed to commit crimes, and they were not allowed to commit crimes. It was similar to the rules of a sect. Night Sorrow can do these, but I hope you won't restrict my freedom, Night Sorrow said after listening to Lutrin Swan read out the rules. There are no restrictions, but when Tianji Tower is in danger, you must step forward bravely. You can't just sit back and do nothing, Lin Yuandao said to Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow can do it. I'll remember that I'm a member of Tianji Tower, Night Sorrow said with a bow. That's right. Remember that you're a member of Tianji Tower. This is the core topic. Since there are no problems from today onwards, you're a Tianji envoy of Tianji Tower. Give me your token. Lin Yuandao stretched out his hand to Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow took out his token and handed it to Lin Yuandao. After receiving Night Sorrow's token, Lin Yuandao took out his own golden token and combined it with Night Sorrow's token. Then both tokens lit up. Lin Yuandao then returned the token to Night Sorrow. The token has been activated and can be used officially. You can go anywhere in Tianji Tower without any hindrance. Night Sorrow understands. Night Sorrow nodded. In the future, if you have any problems, just tell me, the 2 elders, the Chief Protector and the Chief Supervisor. In addition, Supervisor Lan, you'll be in charge of Night Sorrow's situation from now on. If he doesn't understand, you can help him pass on a message to us. You can also introduce some people you don't know to us, Lin Yuandao said to Lan Yuxuan. This subordinate understands. Lan Yuxuan said with a bow. You understand the position and mission of a Tianji envoy. In the future, put down other things in your hands and be in charge of Night Sorrow's matters, Lin Yuandao emphasized to Lan Yuxuan again. Lan Yuxuan obeyed again. It could be said that she was Night Sorrow's personal subordinate from now on. Night Sorrow, later on, have Chief Supervisor Guo arrange a residence for you. You can stay in Sky-Bearing City and cultivate, Lin Yuandao said to Night Sorrow. At this moment, Li Changqian's body shook and he swayed in his chair before stabilizing. What is it? Night Sorrow bowed to Li Changtian. He knew what was going on. The chief supervisor had been sizing him up and then used his soul power to investigate, which caused a backlash from the heavenly fate pearl. What's wrong? Lin Yuandao stood up. This subordinate saw his blood and chi surging and essence chi rising to the top of his head, so I investigated and received a backlash, Li Changtian said awkwardly. Then it's fine. Chief Supervisor Guo will arrange a residence for Night Sorrow. Lin Yuandao continued the previous topic. Lord K, I will be leaving Sky-bearing City later on. I don't need a residence. Night Sorrow cupped his hands and said. After hearing Night Sorrow's words, Latrin Swan stood up anxiously. How can that be? You are a Tianji envoy. Our Tianji Tower only has 2 Tianji envoys. How can you leave Sky-bearing City? Elderly Night Sorrow is a member of Tianji Tower no matter where he goes. He won't give up on his dream of becoming an expert. The main thing is that the Eastern Shen region is in chaos right now. My Aunt Fei wants me to return first, Night Sorrow said. Who is Aunt Fei? You are a Tianji envoy of Tianji Tower. No one can dictate your path, Lin Yuandao said with a frown. Chapter 477. Genius 1 second. Remember love divided by go divided by little? I'll provide you with a wonderful novel to read. It seems that Tower Master Wu Kei has made arrangements. Then I won't interfere in this matter. However, a residence is still necessary. The Heaven's Fate emissaries need a place to stay in the headquarters. Love, Gong Little Say, Shulin Yuandao thought for a moment and said. Then he handed Lan Yuxuan a round token. Supervisor Lan, arrange the 9th courtyard for Night Sorrow. This subordinate understands. Lan Yuxuan bowed and took the token. Seniors, please continue with your work. Night Sorrow will take his leave. Night Sorrow cupped his hands and said. Go. If you have any problems, come find us here. You can also come if you don't have anything to do, Latrin Swan said. Yishang nodded, bowed once more and left the hall. Lan Yuxuan bowed to the 5 people in the hall and then followed Night Sorrow out of the hall. Supervisor Lan, these 5 are the absolute upper echelons of Tianji Tower, right? Night Sorrow asked as they walked. Yes, there are also 2 vice tower masters. Tower Master Wu Kei is one, and the other is a branch master of another region. They aren't in Qingtian City. In fact, Tianji Tower is one of the 7 giants, Lan Yuxuan said. Love Go Little Say, Chu, in the future I may trouble Supervisor Lan with my matters. I hope Supervisor Lan will be more understanding, Yishang said. Don't say that, sir. This is what this subordinate should do, Lan Yuxuan said. Hearing Lan Yuxuan's words, Yishang was stunned and stopped in his tracks. Was this the change in status? He suddenly felt unfamiliar with Lan Yuxuan. Supervisor Lan, if you don't mind, you can call me Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow looked at Lan Yuxuan and said. All right, calling you sir is indeed unfamiliar, but if you call me by name, the higher-ups will say something. Lan Yuxuan turned around and looked in the direction of the hall. Don't worry, this is what I want. Let's go. Night Sorrow said with a wave of his hand. Once again arriving in front of the transmission array, Lan Yuxuan cupped her hands towards the woman wearing a golden mask. Lady Jin Yu, Lady Night Sorrow has officially been appointed as the Celestial Extremity Envoy. Please let her pass in the future. Subordinate Jin Yu greets Lord Heaven's Extremity Emissary. Jin Yu cupped her hands at Night Sorrow. Her cultivation was high, but she was only a Golden Palace guard. She had no position, so she was naturally a subordinate. Senior Jin Yu is too polite. I, Night Sorrow, am not worthy of such praise. Night Sorrow cupped his hands in return. Gold Moon nodded to Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow and Lan Yuxuan took the transmission array and left Celestial Extreme Dark Tower, arriving at Celestial Extreme Pavilion's underground Great Hall. Following which, Lan Yuxuan introduced Night Sorrow's identity to Heavenly Star. This was to make it easier for Night Sorrow to pass through in the future. Heavenly Star was a bit slow and wanted to check Night Sorrow's token. Night Sorrow knew that this was a responsible attitude, so he didn't mind and directly gave the token to Heavenly Star for inspection. After inspecting the token, Heavenly Star bowed to Night Sorrow again. Night Sorrow and Lan Yuxuan then returned to the courtyard where she was resting. Lan Yuxuan said to Yang Lei, Sikong Chuyu and Night Sorrow, who had just come out of the courtyard, "This small courtyard is where the inspectors and enforcers rest. In addition, our Qingji Tower has an exclusive area in Qingtian City. Your residence is there. Let's go." Then let's go. Night Sorrow nodded. As they walked, Lan Yuxuan introduced the Celestial Extreme Pavilion situation. The Celestial Extreme Pavilion was the area where the inspectors, enforcers and inspectors of Qingji Tower worked. The security level was very high, and it was completely different from the branch where missions were received and issued. Love, Gon Little, Say, Neko. After exiting the Celestial Extreme Pavilion, the four of them flew on their flying demon beasts for 15 minutes before arriving at an orderly residence area. Lan Yuxuan let Night Sorrow and Yang Lei control Tianyu and the Dark Feathered Eagle to land. This area is Tianji Tower's territory. Without a Tianji Tower token you can't enter this area. At the same time, it's also a no-fly zone. If a flying demon beast appears it will be killed. In the future don't fly in this area, Lan Yuxuan said to Night Sorrow. After entering the main street the four of them were stopped. The leader was a silver-masked Silver Palace guard. Night Sorrow took out his token while Lan Yuxuan took out the round token that Guoxiao had given her. The silver-masked guard bowed in greeting, then checked Yang Lei and Sikong Chiyu's tokens before letting them go. At the same time 2 bronze palace guards led the way. This area was different from other areas. It didn't have the hustle and bustle of the downtown area. Both sides of the street were filled with lush green ancient trees. This is the area where the core members of Tianji Tower live. In the middle are the residences of several big shots. The surrounding areas are the residences of some members with higher status, Lan Yuxuan said as she led the way. Then the group arrived in front of an elegant residence. Original C version 9 First you. This is residence number 9. Sir, you may enter. One of the bronze palace guards said. Night Sorrow nodded and led Lan Yuxuan, Yang Lei, and Sikong Chiyu into the residence. The 2 bronze palace guards became the guards. There were 4 maidservants in the residence. Lan Yuxuan took out the residence token and announced that Night Sorrow was the owner of the residence. Seeing the token, the maidservants bowed in greeting. Night Sorrow, this place is absolutely safe. They are all trained by the Tianji Tower base. Like the palace guards, there is no problem with their loyalty, Lan Yuxuan said. Fortunately, at least there is a place to stay. Night Sorrow smiled and was about to make tea, but a maidservant bowed and took the initiative to make tea. This place is very secretive. Every courtyard has a formation around it that can prevent detection, Lan Yuxuan said as she took the teacup from the maidservant. Night Sorrow nodded. He knew that Lan Yuxuan was a shrewd person and knew what he was thinking. He was worried about this problem. If they were monitored, it would be uncomfortable to live there. Then where does Supervisor Lan live? Do you need to leave a room? Yang Lei asked. That's not necessary. I also live in this area. I live in residence number 21, Lan Yuxuan said with a smile. In this area the residences were numbered closer to the front, and the residences were numbered closer to the back. After staying for a while Lan Yuxuan left. After sending Lan Yuxuan off, Night Sorrow told Yang Lei and Sikong Chiyu about his appointment as the Celestial Terminus emissary and the attitude of the leaders. Very good. Things are perfect. We won't restrict your freedom so you can do whatever you want. As for killing ordinary people we won't do it. You have the 2 of us, we won't do it, Yang Lei said with a smile. Watching Night Sorrow rise step by step, Yang Lei was very happy. She was even happier than her own achievements. Night Sorrow, you may not know the significance of the Celestial Terminus emissary. That is the successor of Tianji Tower. What kind of power is Tianji Tower? All the city lord mansions of the 9 regions and 18 states have to give them face, Sikong Chiyu said. But I don't like the fact that the city lord mansions of King City and Tianji Tower have a good relationship, Night Sorrow said. Chapter 478. Genius 1 second. Remember love divided by go divided by little? We provide you with wonderful novels to read. Could it be that there are conflicts between the City Lord's office and Tianji Tower? Night Sorrow asked in surprise. Of course. Eastern Xian region is completely under Ant Phase control, so there are no conflicts. It's not like this in other regions. Conflicts are common, but no one would easily touch the interests of Tianji Tower. The main reason is that Tianji Tower is very self-disciplined, Sikong Chiyu said. That's indeed the case. If Tianji Tower is ambitious, they can gather the forces of the 9 regions and easily sweep through a region. Night Sorrow thought for a moment. When Yi Shang saw the 5 giants of the Celestial Extreme Tower, he felt that they were all experts. Tian Xing and Jin Yu were both venerables. In addition, he could tell from Lan Yuxuan's residence in mansion number 21 that there were 20 people above her. Excluding the 2 celestial emissaries who might be of lower cultivation, there were at least 18 powerful venerables above them. What kind of strength was this? A sect with venerables in Eastern Xian region could be called a superpower. However, such a superpower could be easily crushed in the eyes of Tianji Tower. The concept of development is different. Tianji Tower's development is based on people, not on fighting for territory. This concept is very good, Yang Lei said. Love, Gon Little say, W, Chu, therefore the forces of the 9 regions royal city can only watch and ignore the development of Tianji Tower. It's not a threat to them. In addition, Tianji Tower doesn't want to have a war, mainly because Tianji Tower's members come from the 9 regions and 18 states. If there is a war, it will also hurt their own members, Sikong Chuyu said. I prefer the philosophy of Tianji Tower. Besides, it's not selfish. It's just like how they are willing to lend a helping hand when our Eastern Shen region is in trouble. This is a kind of comradeship, Night Sorrow said. Yes, and Night Sorrow, your safety is no longer a problem. If you have a conflict with the Jiyu family, they can kill you, but they can only send out 5th-grade cultivators. If they send venerables to kill you, they won't be able to bear the consequences unless they are exposed, said Sikong Chuyu. I understand. What if Jiyu's family members also work in the Celestial Terminus Tower? Yishang asked. That's cruel. Values determine everything, Sikong Chuyu said with a smile. Comparing values? If anyone can defeat you, this celestial extremity, I will laugh. Yang Lei put her arm around Night Sorrow's shoulder and said. Not bad. Night Sorrow nodded with satisfaction. I think so too. Although we can't do whatever we want, Jiyu's family is the same. We're on the same starting line, Sikong Chuyu said. That's enough. We have a way to cultivate the power of the soul. It's only a matter of time before 13 becomes a venerable. Jiyu's family can just wait. Yang Lei was angry when she thought of Father Gu's arm being cut off. She knew that this was also a knot in Night Sorrow's heart. Jiyu, wait for me for a while. Things will be solved, Night Sorrow said. I understand. There's no hurry. It's fine now, Sikong Chuyu said with a smile. It's really good. The people and matters of the Empyrean Terminus Tower are the same as I am. I don't want to bring any trouble to the Empyrean Terminus Tower. It's best to rely on yourself. It's best to grasp things in your hands. Strength. I need strength, Night Sorrow said. Let's go out tomorrow and take a look at Shintian Tower when it's convenient, Yang Lei said. Alright, but we still need to be careful. Most of the power in Qingtian City is controlled by Jiyu's family. City Lord Jiyu Fenglan is a member of Jiyu's family, Sikong Chuyu said. So what? They owe me, Night Sorrow said coldly. 13 Jiyu's family asked the assassination hall to kill you. They already see you as a thorn in their side, so there's nothing wrong with being careful. What you need is time, Yang Lei comforted the angry Night Sorrow. I get angry when they're mentioned, but I'll calm down, Night Sorrow said apologetically to Yang Lei and Sikong Chuyu. Then let's take a look at this mansion. Sikong Chuyu changed the topic. She knew that Jiyu's family was a thorn in Night Sorrow's heart. Night Sorrow would easily explode if they were mentioned. Mansion number 9 occupied a large area. It was a courtyard with 2 courtyards. The front was where the gatekeeper and servant girls lived, the back was the main building and the side was the hall. In the middle of the courtyard was a small garden and a training ground. The design was very reasonable. Not bad, Sikong Chuyu said as he looked around. I've realized that 13 you can get along well wherever you go. After leaving Pill Cauldron Mountain you got the Dragon Spring Courtyard, you bought the Tranquil Heart Cottage in Dongshan City, and now you have a mansion here, Yang Lei said with a smile. This place is different from the Dragon Spring Courtyard and the Tranquil Heart Cottage. Those are ours and this is just a place to live. It can't be considered ours, Night Sorrow said. Sir, you're overthinking. As long as you're a member of Tianji Tower, this is your mansion. It's just that you can't sell it, the servant girl who brought tea said. You can't sell it? Night Sorrow looked at the servant girl and asked. No, Tianji Tower doesn't have such a precedent. I know a little about mansions. Mansions are lifelong, just like mansion number 2 and mansion number 3. The owners never live there, but the ownership is still in the hands of their owners. In other words, unless you give it up yourself or you betray Tianji Tower, this mansion will always belong to you. In addition, you can't receive guests who aren't members of Tianji Tower, the servant girl said with a bow. I see. Then I understand. What's your name? Night Sorrow asked. I'm Kei Xiang. I'm currently the manager of this mansion, Kei Xiang said with a bow. Then you'll have to worry about the mansion in the future. Here are some mid-grade crystal stones. You can use them to maintain the mansion's expenses. Night Sorrow took out a storage belt and put some mid-grade crystal stones into it. No need. Tianji Tower has already arranged all the expenses for the mansion, Kei Xiang said with a shake of her head. Okay. If there's any problem just let me know, Night Sorrow said as he took back the storage belt. Yes, sir, I'll leave you to it. Kei Xiang bowed and left. The servant girls trained by Tianji Tower are also very good. Although they're humble, they're not overcautious, Sikong Chuyu said as he looked at the direction where Kei Xiang left. That's not important. Let's look at the residence. Let's take a look at the main building first. Night Sorrow led the two girls into the main building. Night Sorrow didn't know that after he left the Empyrean Tower, several leaders of Tianji Tower were talking. The core of the conversation was Night Sorrow. The only genuine J. His DP coup is / stealing S edition EP. Chapter 479. A Genius Remembers Love in 1 Second? We provide you with wonderful novels to read. I don't know. When I probed his spirit sea, I was hit by a strong backlash. It was just a light probe, so the backlash wasn't very strong. Li Changtian said. He didn't have any reaction at that time. In other words, it wasn't his own will. He doesn't have the ability to do so. It's a treasure that automatically protects its owner. It protected his spirit sea. That's incredible. Lin Yuandao said. This little guy almost made me suffer a great loss. Li Zhangtian rubbed his forehead and said. You too. You even probed him deeply. Didn't you suffer a loss? Le Trin Swan said with a smile. I saw that his true chi was condensed and there was no problem with his true chi cultivation. That's why I probed his spirit sea. Who knew that it would turn out like this? Li Changtian said in a slightly depressed tone. The condition of his body is the most peculiar part. His qi and blood are surging and his essence qi is more than 10 zhang * 3. 33 m per zhang, high. Think about it. Hua Haining shared his feelings about Night Sorrow. That's right. According to the information confirmed by Lan Yuxuan, Guan Yun and Ling Jian, Night Sorrow is less than 20 years old this year. His true qi cultivation is at the 4th level of the Void Inquiry stage. This is already an incredible achievement. Besides, he has also cultivated his body to such a level. This is one of a kind. If there is no flaw in his soul, he will certainly have great achievements in the future. Lin Yuandao said. Our Tianji Tower will have a successor in the future. Le Trin Swan said excitedly. That's right. We have all read his information. From the process of his rise, there is no flaw in his moral character and temperament. He values friendship and righteousness. Moreover, he is not greedy. He has a very strong moral integrity. Lin Yuandao commented on Night Sorrow. But this is also the biggest problem. He has his own principles. There is no desire for power in his heart. Therefore, it is very difficult for him to have a true sense of belonging. Li Changtian said. This is a problem, but it is also a good sign. Once he has a sense of belonging, he won't have to worry about anything anymore. Look at how he stayed in the Medicine Valley. Why are you fighting for the Eastern Shen region? If he approves of Tianji Tower, then what he can do for Medicine Valley and Eastern Shen region, he can also do for Tianjin Tower, Lin Daoyuan said. Let's not take the path of benefits. We need to communicate with him honestly. If this goes on, it's only a matter of time before we feel a sense of belonging. Hua Haining expressed his opinion. Furthermore, with our relationship with Master Wu Kei, none of these problems will be a problem, Lin Yuandao said with a smile. That's right. When I have time, I want to see Master Wu Quebec. We haven't seen each other for many years. Back then we arrived late. I hope Mistress Wu doesn't have any misunderstandings in her heart. Hua Haining sighed and said. That's my problem, but Mistress Wu Kei shouldn't mind. If she did, Night Sorrow wouldn't have come to the Qingtian region. This time I need to make this trip. There are some things that need to be said. It can't be left unsaid, Lin Yuandao exhaled and said. It's a bit far. Let's talk about Night Sorrow. He and Mistress Wu Kei are very similar in that they both have things they want to protect. All members of the Eastern Shen region are like this. Just like Lei Hua and Ho Yuan, they both have positions in the Eastern Shen region. Le Trin Swan smiled bitterly. This is also a good thing. The Eastern Shen region is an iron plate. It can become the second base of Tianji Tower. Mistress Wu Kei knows that Tianjin Tower won't harm the interests of the Eastern Shen region, so there's absolutely no problem. I'll talk to Mistress Wu Kei about this matter later, Lin Daoyuan said. Then, can we leave Night Sorrow to the Ministry of Supervision? Guo Xiao said. Look at Chapter B above, +X. No way. Don't even think about it. I'm already old and you still want me to guide him? Lutrin Swan said. Stop shouting. I also need a successor. Hua Haining also spoke, wanting to get Night Sorrow to his side. Don't argue about this matter. Last time, the Heaven's Fate emissary was taken by the Law Protector Department, so I didn't say anything. This time, none of you have any ideas about Night Sorrow. Can you go and ask Mistress Wu Kei for him? You can't? If you can't, then don't say anything. I'll go and ask for him so he's mine. Lin Daoyuan directly made the decision to get Night Sorrow to his side. Alright. Although I'm a little unwilling, this is indeed suitable. Night Sorrow has a persistent personality, and he's a good foundation to take charge of the general direction, Lutrin Swan said. Then it's settled. You all should pay attention to Night Sorrow's matter. He's a rare seedling, Lin Daoyuan said. Although they were a little unwilling, Lutrin Swan and the others all supported Lin Daoyuan's decision. There's one more thing that we need to make a decision on together. Our Qinji Tower wants to develop a second base. Back then the establishment of the first base caused quite a stir. I don't want that to happen this time, Lin Yuandao said. If you want to develop a second base in Eastern Shen region, you need to communicate with Mistress Wu Kei. Hua Haining looked at Lin Daoyuan and said. Yes, in Mistress Wu Kei's heart, the division of interest between Qinji Tower and Eastern Shen region is a problem that she's been tangled in. That's why she hasn't come to see us all these years. If we want to untie the knot in her heart and develop a second base, we need to make a statement on this matter. Lin Yuandao looked at Lutrin Swan and the others and said. There's nothing to discuss. Mistress Wu Kei cares about Eastern Shen region and Qinji Tower, so we'll satisfy her any request she has, Li Changtian said. Then let's do it this way. Our Qinji Tower and Eastern Shen region are tied to the same warship. If something happens to Eastern Shen region, Qinji Tower will also take action. In addition, the matters of Eastern Shen region will still be decided by the City Lord's mansion. We're just building a base and cultivating talents, Lin Daoyuan said. I disagree. Eastern Shen region is currently Mistress Wu Kei's world. That's not a problem. But what about the future? If there's a change in power in the future, how will our Qinji Tower deal with it? Guo voiced his opposition. If I hadn't seen Night Sorrow, I would also have this concern and wouldn't have made this decision. If Mistress Wu Kei's era of ruling Eastern Shen region is over, then what about the next generation? Will Night Sorrow be the next Eastern Shen region chief? Lin Daoyuan made some assumptions. After Lin Daoyuan finished speaking, the other four didn't say anything. They were all thinking. In the future, when Mistress Wu Kei confirms Night Sorrow as the next city lord of Eastern Shen City, the situation will be as awkward as now? Hua Haining asked. Our Qinji Tower's laws are a little vague on this point, causing the two tower lords to be conflicted. Who said that the royal city lord can't be Qinji Tower's tower lord? It's because of this concern that our Qinji Tower can't reach its peak state. Now I'm going to change this law. Lin Yuandao looked at them and announced his decision to change the law. It really needs to be clarified. Our Qinji Tower's members come from all over the place. Who doesn't have a hometown complex? Lutrin Swan said with a sigh. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.